Welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I'm your host, Dee Kei, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Live Lu.
That is right. We are live, aren't we?
We are live, and special guest, host of the exclusive episodes, my very dear friend, James Parrish.
Yeah, what's up, guys? He didn't get any applause. they were sick of Lou.
There you go.
I'm okay being second best. Okay?
Well, if you're on the stream right now, stay on the stream because we are giving away and raffling away a free Kive plugin. Shout out, everybody. Shout out to our sponsor, Kive Audio.
Yeah.
Shout out to Evie. Eddie, we're going to be giving away a free NF Fuse. So it's that, well, we can't say company names, but it's a really great master bus processor plugin. They're most demanded, high in demand, most popular plugin. We're going to be giving away for those on the stream, so stick around.
What are we giving away for the people here?
For the people here, if you paid the money to have a seat here, you are automatically being raffled for our other sponsor, brought to you by Loughton Audio, giving away one of these mics that I'm holding right now, an LS208. Everybody put your hands together for Loughton Audio. We will be giving away a microphone later on this recording and stream. Here's the deal, folks. We have no idea what the fuck we're doing. I really didn't want to do this because I'm really lazy. This episode is going to be weird.
Amen.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be entertaining, maybe educational if we're lucky. I will probably bring up Eastern philosophy, whatever. And
I will be there to shut you down.
And we're going to have some fantastic guests tonight. That's the deal. We're going to have 5-minute interviews, maybe 10-minute interviews, depending on how much time we have with these guests. And the point of this episode is because the Mixing Music Podcast, as of a couple months ago, hit 1 million total downloads.
Yeah.
Woo. 1 million downloads. 1 million times some idiot decided that we were good to listen to. Oh.
Does it count if my mom's listening?
Fuck. I get it. All right.
I think she's a beautiful woman.
This episode is completely improvised, and we have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea. It may get offensive. It may not. Hopefully, we'll learn something again. And again, shout out. This episode is brought to you by Kive Audio. Thank you, Eddie, for giving away a plugin to raffle off, and to Loughton Audio. Amazing. Seriously, me and Lou, we have Loughton Audio right now. Some of the best mics that we have. We couldn't have done this episode without those sponsors and without you for coming and for watching the stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's on the Discord server? Yeah?
Oh, we got a few.
Maybe I forgot to ping everybody. I don't know if you have the authority to ping everyone. I forgot to ping everybody. Whatever. We're going to do that later. This is totally live. We have no idea what we're doing.
Don't worry, I could do it in the background.
All right. Hold on. We're trying to get this. We're trying to get this done right. All right. First off, the first thing that we want to do is has anybody listened to the exclusive episodes of the podcast for a while with James? We've had before James, it was a dude named Braden, and Braden left us a very kind message. So we're going to take 1 minute of our time to play back this recording of my very dear friend, former mastering engineer, now currently psychologist in school. We're going to listen to Braden Flint. Here's a message from him.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the celebration of the 1 million downloads for the Mixing Music Podcast. How exciting is this? I am the former host of the exclusive content, Braden, from the company formerly known as Flint Mastering. I no longer master anymore, and the exclusive content has been taken over by James and Dee Kei, who do a phenomenal job. But I wanted to join today to say congratulations to Dee Kei and Lu. There's no two other people that are more deserving of this success. Dee Kei and Lu are the men, both individually, the man and the men together. Dee Kei gave me a ton of great opportunities when I didn't have much going for me, was an incredible mentor, shared so much wisdom with me, as he does with everybody in the community through the podcast every week. So I just wanted to come on and say thank you to Dee Kei and Lu for everything y'all have done for the mixing music community, for mastering, for producing, for all of it, for just music in general. And I want to say thank you personally as a friend for everything you've done for me. And I could not be happier for you guys. And I'm so proud of you and so stoked for your success of 1 million downloads. Does anyone even know how much a million is? That's out of this world. 1 million downloads. Anyway, congratulations, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful celebration all together. And best of luck with the future of the Mixing Music podcast. And I'm sure before long, we'll see y'all at 2 million downloads. Congrats again, Dee Kei and Lu.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
DK, do you even know how much a million is?
Dude, for real. I actually avoided listening to that until just now. That was really kind.
What if he said something really insulting?
That would have been
I would
on
kinda
brand.
hope
That would have
for
been
that.
on brand.
Yeah.
That would have been on
Yeah.
brand and probably well deserved. All right, let's give it up for our first guest, opener of the show. You ready for this? Y'all
Am
ready
I?
for this?
Am I?
Oh my goodness. Spoiling the surprise.
Who we will not say who they are yet. But
Yeah.
it is still a surprise for everyone.
He's been on this podcast before, has been on live streams before, is well known, multi-gold, multi-platinum, has worked with T.I., The Weeknd, Jay-Z, Peso Paloma, Future, Playboy Cardi, Swiss Beats, Kanye West, Travis Scott, Your Mama. IRKO!
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
Good.
Grabbing one of these.
Yeah, just stick that to your
Hello,
face.
hello,
Welcome
hello,
to the
hello.
show.
Thank you.
Everyone, give it up one more time for IRKO.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
We're very, very honored to have you and your time here as
Likewise.
always. The first thing we ask every guest what we want, what they want to talk about. And you mentioned something.
Did I?
You and Ye didn't know how to spell quiche.
Oh yeah, that's a funny story.
I
That's
like
true.
this fun fact.
Yeah,
So
tell
you
us
like,
about that.
You like the intro, right? Where it says, "This ain't cheddar, this quiche." So, in my large, vast collection of bow ties, I have one where I can program whatever it says. Like it's like a little screen that turns around, like with the words that turn around. And so I wanted to write that, but I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I had to Google it. And it was like a hashtag immigrant moment for me to look up how to spell it because I didn't know. So then I sent him a video of, like this, like filming the thing that turned around. I'm like, look at this. He's like, oh, dude, I didn't know how to spell it. I'm like, well, that's the two of us. So yeah, I guess we both didn't know how to spell quiche.
I have another question. What's the most
Yeah.
you spent on a bow tie?
The most money I spent?
On
That's
a bow
actually
tie.
a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe $80.
Oh man, I was expecting like
No, but the most expensive one I have is actually a gift from my family. They gave it to me. They actually got it made out of gold for the
Holy
first
shit.
for the first
Wow.
time I got nominated for a
Wow.
Grammy. So like to celebrate
Wow.
the Grammys, it's all gold and stuff. So it kind of goes with the theme. So that I don't know how much they spent, but it's definitely more than $80.
yeah, maybe like 85, 90
Maybe.
or something like that. Yeah.
$85.99.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to ask, logistically,
Yeah.
the last couple Kanye albums, right?
Mhm.
From what I understand, the mix was revised after it was released.
Yes and no. So Donda came out 2021, right? Came out. We did a deluxe version shortly after that had track list and slight adjustments. Like we removed a hat from one, not real mixing things, just edits,
More like production edits.
Yeah,
I
like
think.
little things, if I remember correctly. Then fast forward a few years, Vultures 2 got released with basically the rough mixes or the recording sessions
That you
audio.
didn't touch.
I didn't touch.
Mm.
Well, I did because I was I was working on all volumes. So some songs ended up here, some songs ended up there, but it was like a mix, a mix of mix. And then eventually, Vultures 2 got all completely replaced with all my mixes. So what's out right now is all of my mixes. that completely replaced all the first release. So the album was out for like, I don't know, like a month or so or two, I don't know. And without my touch on it. And then I took over and I replaced everything.
So question on that, because it's not every day that something like that happens. What was the conversation like when it's like, hey, we need your mixes now for something that's already released?
Yeah, it was funny. I was in my dad's living room and I get a text like, hey, can you mix the album? I'm like, the one that's out?
Yeah. Like,
so
that's kind of a wild conversation. Like, was there like deadlines at that point?
No. I mean, in any of those caliber artists, it's like, you got to do it as soon as possible. Like, it's due 3 weeks ago.
It's released already.
When they say it's due yesterday, no, it was like 3 weeks ago. So you got to move super quick. But
a better question is, which albums have you had time? Did they give you time for?
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome to the entertainment world, right? Like, where crazy shit happens every day.
Yeah. And that's why you're in the top 0.1%.
That's right.
Because you can do that.
That's right.
For real.
I like the confidence. That's right.
That's right.
Damn straight. Give it up one more time for IRKO.
Yeah.
I'll do one more question here for you.
Yes, I had a question about one of your mixes. It's a more recent release. It is by the Sunday Service Choir. Thank God. The vocals were very clean, very forward. Could you kind of talk through what you did with the vocals there?
Sure. Track was very simple, maybe 10 sounds all together, drums, bass, synths, and everything, organs and pianos and stuff. So it was very simple. Good thing, because the producer knows, what he's doing. And so he left space for the thousands of freaking tracks for the vocals. Just the choir alone, that was like, I think 4 takes. And I don't know how many people is that, but it was a bunch of guys, a bunch of people. So a lot of space for everything else that was supposed to happen on top of the track. Now, I basically, like I always do in my mixes, I allocated all the stereo stuff to everything that is conclusive for the stereo stuff. So in the case of a choir, of course, it's absolutely fitting to have everything super wide, right? But then the lead vocals, dead in the middle. Like T.I.'s vocal is super in the center, and so is Dro, and everybody's like dead in the middle, As Kirk also. So, I like to move things around, that's how I start my mixes, like this. Move stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
Nice. Amazing.
Awesome, yeah.
And the last question we have for you is, you have a DeLorean. Ooh. You're a fan of cars.
Ooh.
This is not this is not new news.
Right.
I've never asked you if you're a fan or how much of a fan of Back to the Future you are.
But quite a lot.
I mean, you have to be.
You have to purchase the car.
Yeah. I mean, I found out about the car through the movie, of course, but I'm more of a fan of the design of the car itself.
Is there anything in specific about the car's design that stands out to you the most?
It was designed in 76, and if you go out there right now and you look parked next to all the other cars, yes, it looks like a UFO. It's 50 years old, and it still looks more futuristic than anything that comes out today. So I only drive old cars, so I don't have a modern car now besides the rain car, but whatever. And they all have a thing, like a theme to it.
I love how that you have a rain car.
I do. Yeah. It's a regular Mercedes.
Amazing.
But the DeLorean is amazing, man. I mean, if you look at it, it's this tall. First of all, like when I'm driving and I look left and right on the freeway, all I see is wheels of other people's cars, because it's so low,
That's my perspective standing up and walking straight, actually. So
you can relate.
Is there a car you think is overhyped?
I mean, there's a lot of them. All modern cars.
He doesn't want to die.
Yeah, it's too vague.
He doesn't want to die.
I don't want to piss off the wrong client.
No, definitely.
Well, I think that's the time's up. But cool. IRKO, what else do you want to say for everybody? What do you want to shout out or advice that you have? Anything that you want to say?
I mean, I've been in the studio all summer doing a lot of albums. Like, it's been my specialty for a while now, but these albums that I've been working on are incredible with, famous people that we named today and other people that are around that click. So there's a lot of stuff that you guys are going to see if you follow my social media. Anytime one of my clients posts my work, I always put it up with a little bow tie. You'll see a lot of that in the winter for for But other than that, work, don't stop. Any no that you will hear is just a sign that you're closer to the next yes.
Awesome. Everybody stand up. Give one more round of applause for IRKO.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
See you guys around, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Also, shout out to Studio Beat, right? The name of your studio?
Studio Beat,
right? Shout out to Studio Beat.
At IRKO
Awesome.
Studio Beat.
It's an awesome studio.
And YouTube as well.
Yeah,
You have a really informative, great YouTube channel, actually.
All right, guys. Take care, okay?
Bye, IRKO.
All right,
Thank you
peace.
so much.
Thank you.
How was that? Great opener. Everybody excited? Everybody's still good? We're figuring this shit out. Slowly. Give it up for James for that question. Was that good? Well informed. Did his research.
I ask questions.
All right. Zen's out there. Hold on. We have a few assistants from the studio that are helping us out, and we are trying to figure out if the next guest is ready. Lucas, is the next guest ready? Sweet.
I love the way he just popped in.
Sweet.
Yes.
All right. Up next is a guy that's on Instagram. He's actually worked at this studio. This is a bucket pull here from one of the GOATs. Ivan, recently, did you get a green card or did he just become a citizen? Something like that. He belongs here now. He's one of us now. You fucking know.
Green
He's
card, green
American.
card.
Green card. Ivan is one of my good friends, social media connoisseur, amazing editor, amazing producer,
Did you forget amazing person?
amazing person. Give it up, everyone, for Ivan from Oregon!
Yeah.
Let's go, Ivan!
Which one?
Any of
Any
these,
of them.
dude. Any of
Your
these.
favorite one.
Your
What-
favorite. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Ivan. So,
Thank you
my
for
first
having me.
question. Yeah, dude. My first question is, what is your favorite plugin? You ask everyone else. So I want to know what
yeah.
yours is.
So recently, I've been playing with this cool plugin. It's for producers named Decimort. Have you heard about them?
Decimort?
The Decimort, yeah.
Oh.
It's like making beat crusher and changing sample rate. So it's like great for samples and producers. So Decimort, you check them out.
That sounds
I
pretty
will.
cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, dude. We love your edits. If you've ever been on my Instagram page where it's like there's like one cool video of like me promoting my shit and like I have a good hook and it like looks like I thought through that video. That was actually just Ivan. So thank you for doing that. Do you want to say something, James?
Yeah,
Lou?
yeah. I have a question because you interview so many engineers. What have you noticed is like a very common takeaway across the board of something you should do? And also what's something that you've seen pretty across the board that you should not do from them?
I don't actually know. We are as more people I interview, as more I think that everyone has kind of the same tools, and we do kind of basic things. Just not overthink that, and be yourself. Do whatever you think works for you.
Yeah.
And basically, this is the secret sauce. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touching on the not overthinking, Ivan, I've noticed that you, at least from what I could tell on my own end, you start off as like interviewing different people, talking to different people, but I've always known you as the guy that went to every studio and looked to make connections. You weren't afraid of walking up and asking questions, seeing how you can be involved, which is something I've always admired about you. Now, recently, I've also seen you do like the Be a Man posts and stuff like that, which I love. I love
Right
because
there.
like this is the first time I see you be the person that is the primary focus in that video. How has that been for you? Was that like putting yourself as the main person in the video? Was there any like, I guess, tension that you felt for yourself? Any like, I guess, nervousness towards that? Or did you feel much more comfortable on camera now?
yeah, I'm actually introvert, and I'm pushing myself and training myself to be an extrovert. And sometimes you're doing some random stuff like driving or going shower, and some cool ideas comes to your mind. What if I do this, or what if I do that? So like some cool jokes came to my mind, and I decided to start this series where I'm like doing stereotypical things, but engineering wise, BMN. So this is kind of the thing.
Yeah, what was it? Don't fix it now, fix it in post, be a man.
Yeah. Never update your plugins, old is gold, BMN.
Yeah.
Which one of those did the best, do you know? Of the BMN?
I think the first one, about gain staging, just boost everything. Gain staging is overrated.
It's boost everything, be a man.
With going to all those events, that's the way that I still find like a good chunk of my clients. Like, what's a good approach that you usually do when meeting people at the events?
That's a good question.
Actually, my secret sauce, I'm gonna reveal you, like networking secret sauce. So when you start conversation, just tell somebody like, "Oh, you looks familiar," and this is like the opener for you guys. So
Now you look familiar.
They start questioning like,
I saw you
did
somewhere.
I see him in a seedy area? Should I be remembering this guy?
I've seen you naked before. No.
Oh. I thought that was my line of jokes.
Ivan, I want to say something real quick. You are an immigrant to this country.
Yes.
You decided to do one of the objectively hardest career paths ever. You have a wife and 2 kids?
Yes.
2 girls?
One girl and one boy.
Yeah.
Everybody, family man.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Let's go.
And was it like a green card or a citizenship that you got recently?
Green card.
Green card.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
America,
Thank
baby.
you. Thank you.
I have to say, I don't think we talk a lot about social media on this podcast, or we used to, like as part of the promotion. You are a prime example of, I mean, it's obvious you got an accent. You come from a country that like is actually warring, right?
Yes.
Like there's a lot of bias, and yet you fucking are killing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely killing it. And I mean, social media has played a big part. Your work ethic, just being here all the time. You're never like not in a studio. You're never not working with someone, or at least it seems that way, which is good marketing in itself.
This is actually my home. Like this is my
this
is my favorite studio.
Here, actually.
You realize there's a cottage under this, right?
Yeah.
He sleeps in Studio B.
Can you speak on to all the listeners, especially the ones that hate social media? Can you speak on how much it changed your life and made a pathway for you here?
So right now, like your personal brand, if you're like producer, songwriter, engineer, is kind of one of the main thing. And I have a like social media background. Like, I had like top 20, one of the like most famous social media companies in Russia. And so I have social media background, right? But here I learn some basic stuff. You might know John Doe. He's the owner of the watch. So I've been interning in their studios, and like here at the Weddington, like, and a bunch of them. Yeah, Sueco, yeah. And I learned a bunch of basic stuff from him. So you have to, when you come to the studio, just make a picture like that you are in the studio. Make your Instagram look like your producer or like songwriter, or like whenever you want to be, like make look like you actually doing that. Fake it till you make it, So, and social media is kind of the main thing that can change your life. And what if I tell you like, how many lottery tickets would you take if all of them would be free? You're going to take all of them, right? The social media post is like the same. Every video is like lottery tickets. So one of the video could change your life.
I like that.
That's a really
Hell
good way
yeah,
to put
everybody
it.
put your hands together for that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Amazing. And Ivan, we're not billionaires yet, but as someone,
Keyword yet.
But as someone that like, dude, I see you and I see it's very American. Like, I don't know. There's something very patriotic when I see you. It's like, this guy's fucking doing the American dream. And I just cannot say how proud of you I am and how much how great it's been to know you, and I've seen your hard work. Everybody, give it up one more time for the great Ivan! And that's it. We can find Ivan from R&D. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
On Instagram. Where are you at now? You've blown up the last little bit. Like
Yes, slightly.
150,000. What is
120 almost.
that? 120,000
Nice.
followers on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Making me look like a chump.
Congratulations. Anything that you want to say? One last thing you want to say? Advice or just thanks or people shout out or whatever you want to say before we go on to the next interview.
You just my favorite podcast. That's it.
Oh,
thank you.
Shit. I'll pay you later.
Oh, and he has a free sample pack as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Tell us about your free
Yeah.
sample pack.
So I just recently started my website, and I'm trying to collaborate with as much as people as I can. So you can download my free sample pack on my website, meshplugins.com.
That's cool. Congratulations,
Meshplugins.com.
man.
Congratulations on that.
Or you can just comment on under any post, like on my Instagram collab, and I will send you the link.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Everyone give it up one more time for Ivan.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. Rise. Rise for the honor.
Can you introduce Bryson? Sure. Up next, stay on your feet. Oh. This next one is a personal friend of I and Lou's. Lou's gonna introduce this guy.
All right. He's a man. At the same time, he's a myth and a legend. Now, Bryson here is not only just a man of the people. And when I say that, I mean, he's taking care of everybody in the industry, both from making custom computers for everybody from Bob Horn, Mixed by Ali, Dave Pensato, some of the best computers you're ever going to find on this market. And you can only get them through him and his team. But when it comes to studio build-outs, he's also equipped everybody with gear from Osberger's to an Apollo Twin. Now, Bryson here is one of the most trustworthy people you can ever meet, but he's also one of my dopest friends. So, Bryson, come on out, man.
Woo! Bryson! Have a seat.
All right.
Welcome to the Mixing Music Podcast. We are live right now and recording. Man, the guy that's behind the scenes usually is on the camera right now. How do you feel?
Right. Hey, I'm doing good. I'm fresh from New York. We just did this music tech tour, so we did 6 studios and 5 nights during AS week.
Oh, yeah.
6 studios and 5
Yes,
nights.
sir.
Round of applause for that.
Yeah.
6 studios. So that means you're designing, building? What does that mean? What does that entail?
That means we were just filling the studios with people and a lot of the brands I work with too, and just doing creative situations for creative individuals. So yeah, every studio had its own unique vibe. So Platinum Sound, then Flux, then Cutting Room, then S5, then Quad, and then Penthouse, which is in the same building as Quad on top floor. Times Square. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even had Grandmaster Flash pull up to one of them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
sir.
What's up? Cool.
Now, Bryson, I know in the past, me and you have had a ton of conversations. I feel like we kind of know each other on more than just music and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we done a round trip flight to
Oh,
Dallas
yeah.
and back.
That's
That
true.
might
We
sound
did
weird,
a
but it was
24-hour
business.
trip to Texas together.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is like, you already know everybody comes from a different background, different startup and everything. But one thing that we talked about in the past is like, we both kind of started as engineers, producers, working with different artists and things like that. Now, when you started working with the brands, I remember you're like, dude, I want to do better for my family and stuff like that. And now you've kind of grown this empire where you've got this team and everything. It's not just you alone anymore. You're not just engineering alone, but yet you still mix and master and everything. How do you feel like with everything? Like you're working with all the big names, but you're also still an engineer on some sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I found this cool niche engineering for quite a few artists that happen to be professional athletes as well. So because they're on the road a lot, it helps open some windows in my schedule as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. But it's interesting because it all complements one another, but sometimes if I'm like working on the music side, it's a little bit of a vacation from the system integration side. So it actually helps for sake of sanity. And if I look at everything as a hobby still, then there's still an element of fun to it.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
hear
cheat
that.
code.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question about something that you put in
Yes,
the
sir.
form. I thought it was a really cool phrase as a topic. You said to be complementary and not competitive. What
Oh
do you
yeah,
mean by that?
that's one of my main mottos, right? You get all the right people together, like we got in this room, create an explosion of positivity, and the goal is for everybody to catch positive shrapnel. To be.
I like that. Positive shrapnel.
Oh yeah, I got the one-liners for days. Yeah. I'm behind the scenes, but I'm not scared of cameras either. So if people got questions, I got answers. So it's always
Hell yeah.
just achieving that balance, you know?
Yeah.
Laws of attraction draw people in sometimes instead of.
How do you keep that vibe when it's like you just had a 4-day marathon where it's like probably high
5
pressure?
days, 6 of them.
5 days.
Yeah.
How do you keep the that vibe going when it's like a high pressure situation?
Shout out to our sponsor, water.
Sponsoring a good portion of our own body.
I was so curious where the sponsor was going.
Eat a lot of fruit in the morning, right? Those are 2 of the cheat codes right there. And just because people offer it to you doesn't mean you got to take it. Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh, yeah.
And what you say no to is almost more important than what you say yes to.
Ooh.
I got the one-liners for Daye. Yeah. And I'm fresh off this New York thing, so I'm going a million miles a minute. Yeah.
We need a beat or something. My goodness. And then you had a cool story that you put in about how you guys started the music tech tour. How it was just like a mic shootout.
Oh, yeah. It just started from genuine curiosity as to how different pieces of gear work.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this microphone, and this was at Premier Studios. Rest in peace. This was in the Quad building. And we put this microphone up against some other microphones. It did really well. So then the chief engineer at the studio at the time, shout out to my bro Gonzalo, he had an idea next time, let's do it coming off the heels of a songwriting workshop so the people could stick around if they want to check out these mics.
That's cool.
So that's how it started. And then it turned into just the snowball effect came and more brands I had good relationships with. It's like, hey, we can get in the building on Times Square. Yeah, why not? And then, 8 years later, here we are. Yeah.
Was Ashby around in those days?
Oh, yeah. So that's when that was around the time I first started getting the relationship with Lot and Audio. And then we did an event at Too Short Spot. And there was a custom Eden for him. But
the Raider branded one.
Yeah, the Raider one. So a little bit before that, that's around the time Bodak Yellow hit. And then, we did this event at Premiere. I remember Ken Lewis was a part of it. We had Samsung as a sponsor, and Taurus. I remember I had my guy, Sean Weatherspoon, come up. And at that time, he was playing on the Atlanta Hawks. We did an event at Patchwork. And so that's when the whole tour started kicking into becoming a name. We've even done a few events out of Playback as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's been good. See the shining sea, as they say.
Bryson, you are seriously one of the major connectors for not just for us, but for everyone in the industry. I think it's valuable that everybody knows who you are, right?
Appreciate it.
And I want to say, you've met so many people, you've worked with so many brands that sell products and people that sell services. What is top 1 or 2 things consistent that you love to see that you when you see, you want to work with them?
The word I just love that came out your mouth was consistency.
Yes.
You can't, you could fake a lot of things, right? Fake till you make it. I wasn't really like that. I was slow burn, wait till I get some, gray hairs. And the thing was, coming up, people recognized me 50 feet away with the back of my head turned 15 years down the line, in my hometown, San Jose, Northern California, or the Bay Area, what have you. So instilling that, always had to make sure there wasn't no smut on my name and lead with integrity.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing, but consistency because you can't fake time. Right?
Yeah.
So we've been rocking for many
Consistency
moons.
because you can't fake time. Put your hands together.
Right.
Man, you're putting us in church tonight.
And the funny thing is, I've ran into people where I'm like, oh, yeah, you got to talk to my guy. He can help you get squared away with some things. And they're like, oh, who's your guy? I'm like, Bryson. They're like, oh, I know Bryson. And then it's like, this guy doesn't do any marketing and everybody knows him.
I'm all organic. I'm from the Bay Area. We're, selling stuff out the trunk. Shout out to Too Short. Had a pleasure working with him for years. And, that was one of the guys that laid down the foundation for that, just being a stand-up dude, being approachable, accessible.
And your name seems to carry that much weight to where I actually ended up designing and building out his studio, his most recent studio, because of your recommendation.
Absolutely.
So funny enough, your name has definitely carried its weight.
Yeah, cosign is a major currency, Yeah. Absolutely.
We were talking about that on a different episode of the podcast, where it's people talk about nepotism being this bad thing, and it can be, of course, but in the music industry, when everything is so subjective and creative, I think it's incredible how practical it is when you put your name on the line for someone else. What better way is there to gain trust for someone else?
Right. Yeah. You putting your whole livelihood on the line. So there's a vested interest right there, especially if somebody's doing a high-end studio build. You might be overseeing a $500,000 budget, or you're doing a studio build from, just the local homie from the block that's putting his all and risking his freedom just to make things happen. And, nothing's to be played with. Let's take this all seriously, but at the same time, let's enjoy the journey.
Let's fucking go.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's keep going. Yeah.
All right, Bryson, before we let you go and we invite our next guests, what can you share with us? Can you give, you can talk with these people
I got one-liners.
I mean, can these people hit you up? Can anybody just hit you up looking for gear and sourcing stuff from you?
Absolutely. I could even, I don't know,
Studio
if it's allowed
builds
to
out.
throw business cards on the table.
Let's
whatever.
do it.
It's got my direct line, This is my second year card. You can't find the rookie cards no more. Yeah. Some of the corners might be
Dummy, you got to get that
My
officially
fault.
graded. You got to get a rookie year one.
Yeah. Card grader over here. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Bryson. Everybody hit this guy up. Follow this guy. Make sure that you're in touch with him.
Hey.
Anytime you need gear, studio build.
Big congrats on the 1 million downloads. That's phenomenal.
Hell yeah, thank you.
And the community y'all harvested. That's what I love, that organic type of situations and also utilizing what technology got, shout out to Instagram.
Hell yeah, a bunch of weebs on the internet.
Weep.
One piece. What? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
All right.
Everyone give it up. Put your hands up. Put your hands together. Stand up for Bryson.
Yeah. Appreciate you. All right. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you so much, Bryson.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have another special guest. Y'all want to keep this going?
Yeah!
All right, before we call in our next guest, everybody feel free, have a seat for a second. I'll make you stand up in a moment here. If you are live on the stream right now, which camera is it on? This one, that one? Oh, sorry, Lou. All right, if you're live on the stream right now, make sure you stick around because there is a plug-in giveaway. Staying live, probably doing about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how many more interviews we get through. We're kind of going through them pretty quick, which is great, which is fantastic. We might, before we get to our last few, we might do like a little Q&A section just to pad it out a little bit more. Yeah. Make sure we get everything. Or we could do all afterwards. Let's do that. Yeah. This is on the spot. We have no idea what we're doing.
Who are you?
Yeah.
And what do you do?
All right. Well,
Y'all did a good job not laughing at that. Thank
you. Boo! Yes. All right. All right. This next intro was written by this fucking guy. All right. So forgive me for this. I don't give a shit. All right. This guy is one of my very good friends. We were part of a mastermind together before I moved out here, actually. We don't really talk too much about that. This guy's inspirational on TikTok, on social media. He's done a great following. Not only does he make inspirational posts, but he also makes inspirational music, both literally through some of like the churchy stuff that he does, the Christian music that he makes, but as well as like in the sense that very emotional, really in tune with himself and with his artistic craft. Family man, he wrote down, love music and people and Jesus, and my wife and I had sex at least 3 provable times because I have 3 kids. Give it up for Shane Lance!
Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
I like your sense of proof.
I'm just gonna say.
Do I take a pic?
Nobody talked about that. You could have just adopted
Yeah, you
that.
could have just adopted.
So technically not provable. We need a DNA test.
Provable in a way
I
you
tried
don't
to
wanna
lean in
prove
and
it.
catch that. I like to hear myself talked about, but I could only hear like 50% of that. But I did hear the sex part. So I'll take that. Hi, guys. Thanks for letting me be up here.
Welcome to the show. If y'all know Shane, you've seen this guy before. This guy doesn't talk a lot of shit.
I'm looking at you.
But you do say some things.
I love that he's just ominously hanging out there.
have to watch. I'm the biggest supporter, man.
Hey, that's real friendship right there. I'm your biggest supporter, man.
We came together in a minivan.
Hell
you
yeah.
serious?
That's for real. Yeah.
That's like almost
Yeah.
the most Mormon thing.
Yeah. Get in, loser. We're going to the podcast.
Well, Shane, I'm a huge fan of you as a human being. You make these posts that align with me and my vision a lot, which is like, of course, you do some stuff for music, maybe do like how I mix these vocals, listen to before and after. Sure. But what you do and what I try to do is that you work very hard to empower people. You kind of break down this barrier to more like ego barrier. This I mean, obviously, people need computers and shit, but but as far as like emotionally speaking, you do this really great job humanizing the craft and empowering people to be weird and stay creative.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, and you do a great job. Obviously, people love you, right? Put your hands together one more time for Shane.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'd like it to go on record. I'm not the one forcing applause for myself. I'll take it all, though. I'll take it all. But
Can we keep the
just
hype
let that
in
be
just
noted.
like the rest
Yeah,
of the show?
I love this.
Greasy
Red cup and hype man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that means a lot. I hope to be a modicum of what you're sharing, but that is what's in my heart and in my mind. So.
We're also foreshadowing a little bit for the next interview, I think, which we'll talk about later. All right.
Yeah, that makes no sense to anyone.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
You have a saying that you say on your page, and you mentioned it in the form that you filled out. I misread it, and so I thought it was going to be something really weird. I thought it said that your parents have a kid in their basement making better music, but you're saying there's a kid living in their parents' basement.
Yeah, that would be great as like a self-assertion of my own
I was like,
prowess as a producer. Listen, my parents had a kid in their basement.
and he was
killing
also
it, and that kid is me.
Child slave labor.
Yeah, but I like that saying a lot. Could you kind of expand on that?
Sure. Honestly, that's just been like I've made iterations of that video for years. It pisses people off, and I think people think it's my intention is just to be dramatic on the internet. The sentiment is like, hey, there's a kid. I've done different variations of it. Maybe you've seen, you probably haven't. But like there's a kid in their basement making better music on their like Lenovo laptop in a cracked version of FL Studios than you are making, 20 hours deep into your song, maybe 20 weeks deep into your song and all your analog gear, and you get the sentiment. It's some rehashed version of that sentiment every time. That sentiment, though, for me, I'm not trying to stir up the mud, which is how most, especially old analog guys respond, which I have nothing. I came up in a commercial space, was there for many, many years. I have so much respect for that. The irony is that in that situation, I'm the old guy. If that makes sense. Like that statement is a reminder to me. I've been in many, many sessions, literally, where we've been days deep into tracking a band, getting these songs right, rehashing parts. The singer comes in and they're like, I watched Tarzan with my kid over the weekend. Let's redo all the drums like Phil Collins. You know what I mean? Like we're so deep into these songs. And then this is actually the specific moment I remember when I make those videos, but I was in one of those sessions and the singer of the band, his son was on the couch much like a studio like this, on the couch in the back of the room making a beat. And I heard it later in the session and it was fucking, am I allowed to cuss? I don't know.
Yeah.
You can.
If my mom listens,
please.
I'm sorry.
It's a Christian podcast, but we'll allow it.
But what he was making was incredible. And it hit me, it crashed over me like a depressing wave. That kid is killing it on his laptop, and we're like 6 days deep into this record that is never getting released. I'm sure they've got a box of hundreds of those records in their attic that just have gone nowhere. So yes, that is the sentiment. I post it because it's true and it's a reminder to myself.
Something that I heard you talk about on your reels in the past, or I don't know, I'm not on TikTok, but TikTok reels, whatever they're called. Yeah. But one thing I liked is that you dropped a veil that a lot of people keep up, which is financial success in this industry and what it really looks like for most people that are working in this. That not everybody posting photos in a massive studio is actually just well off. Some people are still working really hard to find their success and find their financial stability in it, and that living frugally is okay, and just not trying to be the person with all the flash in the studio. I really like that you had posted about that because like you said, all of us working a long time, we've been in a big studio, we've been around big flashy clients, and sometimes it's hard to want to say, hey, I'm just like you, without being able to say that about your financial status compared to their own.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that in the sense of like, hey, you know, I really like how you said it in the post. I can't regurgitate it myself.
Yeah.
But in your own words, like what was on your mind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you for watching my reels on TikTok.
Shout out to Lu.
I love to post TikTok reels.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
This is where everyone boos Lu. Boo.
Who knows I love him? I love him. I think I know what you're referring to, and it's probably many videos, a string of videos. For me, I will start with a statement that will sound dickish, but I think I'm balling hard. I've done this for a long time. It's the only thing I do. I've done other things all within the realm of music, but I've always kept myself and my family alive doing music. And the caveat to that, though, is like balling hard is that I pay for my own insurance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I made my car payment this month. And we recently bought a bigger car because we have 3 kids. You know what I mean? So
your bills are growing.
Yeah. And I don't mean that to feign humility. It's a little bit of both. I mean, what I have to make to stay alive every month would like blow people's mind. It's a lot of money, but it's just very down in the mud and real. And I think, and this is just a common trope on the internet. We all know, we've all heard it, that like your favorite rapper or your favorite artist, it's very rare for people to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
First of all, most of the people you perceive as making that money are not even making that money.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very rare for people to be balling that hard. But my point, it's funny. I'm glad you've gleaned that, but that's not even been some like intention I've had, is to dispel rumors about money. But I do hope it's encouraging that, man, making it is that I just get to keep my family alive.
The reason I found it so beneficial to the world that was shared on a platform that you have is because, Dee Kei and I, when we ran In the Mix, we always had interns that kind of came up.
Is this mic on?
Yeah, it's on. I just, I'm not very good at talking.
My bad.
No, but we've had interns who would say like, "Oh, I can't wait to make X amount," and like, even as the owners of the studio, we don't make whatever you think we make, without disclosing our own income.
The upward mobility here is going to be disappointing, my guy.
Yeah, it takes time, but it's more about like, if you really enjoy what you love, like paying your own bills is the flex. Yeah. So I really appreciated that about it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
There's I want to say as well, like as a family man here, you do something that I love all the time. I think more people should do that. You flex your wife all the time on social media.
My wife is My wife is awesome.
Hell yeah, dude. I think that's really valuable, and I'm like, yeah, dude. It's like I'm trying to
If you loved wives, you'd have 3.
Coming in the minivan, you can't be saying shit like that, dude.
That's so good. I might have cut this off. Uh-oh. Did I cut it off? Should I switch? I'm good. Okay.
All right. By the way, the chairs that you're sitting on are borrowed from a Mormon church, which makes this entire thing way funnier.
Hope you all feel extra
that's
blessed.
why we do play basketball.
Spirit is strong here. You guys are welcome.
I don't know why, but it felt like I was burning when I walked into the church.
All right. Anyway. Shane, we're low on time here for you and here. I want to promote some of the stuff that you talked about first, but let's say one more thing that you really want to share. Love, passion, pleasure, or advice or anything like that. What do you want to say to the young people?
Gosh, the young people.
The next generation.
I think the money talk is a good one. Not to make it about money, but there may be money for you in this, but this is not the job to get into if money is your goal. There are better jobs for that.
Yeah.
And it is not to say you can't make a living. And many of us in this room make a living doing it.
Yeah.
But if that is your primary goal, there are probably better jobs. So your passion for it better be at the center. And that can sound hippy dippy, and there is an element of that that's like stay true to creativity. But it's also practical. It's like you're just not going to survive if it isn't centered with passion. And then, gosh, the other thing, do good work and be good to people. I feel like I've made more money, and this could sound like a flex or dickish, but I actually mean it vulnerably and honest. I think I've made more money by being like decent to people and communicating as kindly as I can than I have by being talented. I think I'm talented too, but that's sort of a shoo-in. You better, if you're not talented, then there's no hope for you. That's baseline. Will and I talk about this all the time in the minivan.
Shane and Greasy in the minivan.
Is talent. You know what I mean? Like you better be talented. But I think the X factor, not only for success, but also just because it's what it takes to be a good human, is just to be kind to people. It goes a long way. And you shouldn't do it because it's valuable, but it is. That's kind of like the trust fall of life or faith for me is like, it pays. It pays to be kind and good.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, I think we all agree with that pretty heavily. What if someone's an asshole?
Sure.
What is we're not looking at you, Greasy.
He's setting it up.
But I mean,
it's not true.
If that's the case, that's the case, right? And to your point, kindness comes in many forms, right?
Sure.
But how does one learn to be a great communicator? How does one become someone that you just described?
Yeah. I don't know about the great communicator thing, but I would just say being kind. It doesn't. Being kind doesn't negate the importance of being honest or being blunt. I think people misperceive kindness. Even when I talk about it, people are like, "Oh, well, the kindness never got me." It's like, well, you're thinking of niceness or some feigned, pretend version of niceness that you're doing. In fact, if anything, you're just divulging that you've never actually been kind. Kind of, you just be kind without need for reciprocity. Is that the word?
It's kindness does not come with true kindness does not come with a sense of return.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So whatever. I don't know. I don't have all the lessons, but I think you just got it. Just and pays is the wrong word. I don't want to be misquoted when this goes viral. I'm joking.
Can we just make an edit of everybody gibbering?
Yeah, I don't mean pays like it pays money. Although that is can be a byproduct. I just mean it's like it's you could call it karma, energy, whatever you want, but it will be. It's a safe bet to be kind.
An honest relationship is built on honesty.
Yeah, I love that.
If you're looking for a transactional relationship, it can end as soon as the transaction is done.
Yep.
So I mean, just between us, I'm definitely the blunt and honest asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm the patient one.
That's just that. But the thing is, so I know we're out of time. It's not separate from being kind, though. I preach being kind all the time, but I'm more confrontational than most people I know. I feel like I can do it like a doctor with real careful tweezers. You know what I mean? Which
I'm long-term kind. Yeah. I'm long-term kind.
Yeah,
I tell you the truth right now.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, but then you understand it. It's not separate from it.
Everyone, go follow W. Shane Lance on social media, TikTok, Instagram. And you know what? His podcast, too. One of my favorite podcasts. I went to your live audience
You came
thing.
and hung out. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the minivan?
Us.
No, it's not called In the Minivan.
It should be rebranded.
In the minivan.
I'm going to cut you off. You can hype me up. People can. You can look me up. W. Shane Lance. I know you've given me many round of applauses. They have million downloads. Is that why we're here? Can we get a round of applause for 1 million downloads? That's impressive.
Thank you.
You didn't ask me to do this, so I'm going to leave.
Shit.
You can kick me out. But you guys, it's your night, and you've done an incredible thing. I know for a fact because we're so lazy, we can't figure it out. So it is amazing. It's an amazing thing you've done. It takes a lot of diligence and a lot of discipline, and not to mention being talented and good at what you do. So
thank you.
You guys
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Appreciate it. I accept that with humility.
Am I done? Can I go?
Yes,
Back
please.
to the minivan?
Thank you,
Run.
Shane. Woo. Before we go up next, I want to talk about some TISM facts here. The music industry in 2019 made about $33 billion gross, compared to tech in the United States was about $1.3 trillion in 2019, and pornography made about $1.6 trillion in 2019. And about 89% of that $33 to $36 billion made at gross across the entire fucking world, not just the US, came from Spotify and other streaming services. So if you're complaining, shut the fuck up. All right, they're single-handedly holding this recorded music industry down. That being said, they are worth hating as well. But some fun.
Title.
We got to do like a song like "Tism Facts from Dee Kei." Okay. Anyway. All right. Up next, this guy. Last Grammy season, fucking swept. All right, didn't just win, fucking swept. Well-deserved sweep, beating out some amazing names. All right, whatever. Beating out, seriously, this is one of my favorite people on this planet. Is an actual American hero as well, on top of that. And is my personal hero, my favorite asshole. Everyone give it up for Greasy Will!
Yeah. This is like Russian roulette of microphones here.
It's like, which one will give you the tism?
Holy shit.
Probably all of them, to be honest. Probably started off with it. But
Dude, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I noticed that the green room did not have any alcohol.
That's DK's bad.
My bad. That is my
it's
bad.
all right. Don't worry. I brought my own.
Hell yes!
You know, it's like
You're not a Baja Blast kind of guy.
I am no, I'm mixing with the Baja Blast.
Hell yes.
Yes, this is the Baja Vodka Blast.
The vodka blast.
Yeah, it's killing, bro.
Yeah, I went to.
Honestly, I think I discovered a new thing tonight. I don't know if anybody's
I
a
hate
Greasy
to
cocktail fan, but woo,
I hate to tell you, but
Baja
I had
Blast
a
and vodka.
I had a
Killer.
vodka blast 3 nights ago.
vodka
How did it
blast?
treat you?
Well. I'll just keep it there.
All right, fair enough. No, it's a good time. Baja Blast is killing with vodka. It's perfect. Yeah.
I went to Costco Business Center.
They
don't have alcohol.
Wait, do they have is this an upgrade from?
No.
Oh, sorry. Wait,
It's
hold on.
actually a downgrade.
I forgot. I'm doing an audio cop bit tonight. This is as far as I planned it. Is just to have the badge and sunglasses.
Do you want? Okay, hold on.
As far as I went, I was like,
we
well,
can
I'm
do a
gonna
good cop, bad
bit,
cop. We can do a
right?
good cop, bad cop because I got a question for you later.
Okay, all right. Wait, I'm the bad cop, right?
Yes.
All right.
I do a terrible
I have no
bad cop.
idea how to be a good cop.
I want to see you try to be a good cop.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Dude, I
feel
remember-
like good cop pays his taxes, which I have never done.
We got him.
IRS is not on our street.
Podcast. Oh God, the government is gonna come for me one day. Honestly, though,
Pause.
I don't think they have what it takes. You know, like I feel like we're on some Ruby Ridge shit at this point. You know? It's like just Shane from afar, like with a loudspeaker, like. Well, we know you love your family. They said if you come down, everything will be okay. I'm like, yeah.
Ruby Ridge is a deep cut joke.
Thanks, man.
I'm sure half of these people
Not old enough to know Ruby Ridge.
Not enough. All right, look that up. Look that up
David
later.
Koresh. I could go for a Koresh
Oh
joke.
my God.
Like, we could switch it up. We could go Waco.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, was there a point to me coming out here, or was I just going to ramble incoherently
This
for
is
like
it.
the
This
better
is
part
it.
of 15
This
minutes?
is it. Well, actually, the thing I was foreshadowing before. Okay, hold on. Unrelated.
This guy,
unrelated.
Shane, wherever he's at, that's the co-host on my podcast. Good Christian Shane.
Is that his name on the podcast?
Yeah. Good Christian, loves God, behaves appropriately, married one time Shane.
And has officially had documented sex
And then
3
me.
times.
Yeah. You know, we couldn't be more similar.
Amazing. Dude, I fucking love you, Greasy. All right.
Official good cop, bad cop right there.
It really is.
The first time, okay, I have to say, I wasn't planning on saying this, but the first time I ever saw your clip, this is before I knew who you were, really. I was on TikTok, and I was at a studio, which will not be named, in LA, and you made a video, and I watched this video of a studio, and like, this is the most LA shit I've ever seen. $3,000
Wait, that was your
mic.
video?
Sounds like me.
We had $3,000 mic, into a $2,000 preamp, into a $3,000 interface, $300 speakers. What is that? That's the most LA shit. and I laughed because me and Lou, we were at that studio the night before we saw that video, and we were saying the same shit.
Oh my God, dude, it's so funny. They had PA speakers. Do you know what's really funny about that though? Is not that they had PA speakers up in this studio, because like, look, bro, like I get it. You come on, you're gonna drop $200,000 on a set of speakers or something, you know? It's like
When you're never going to play it that loud? Yeah.
Fine, PA speakers or whatever. What's really funny is that about 2017, I think. 2017, I went to Westlake, Michael Jackson's studio, man. Oh shit, Westlake. And they had this studio. I forget which the name. They have so many studios. They have one that's called X. Like they have so many studios. Oh no, that's Paramount. Sorry. Westlake, I forget what it was, like 8 or something. I don't remember, but I'm there and I'm like, man, these speakers sound like shit, man. Like, and they have like the soffits up covering them so you can't see what it is. And I'm like, what kind of speakers y'all got in here? I was like, y'all got some fucking QSCs or something? Like, what's going on? And they're like, oh no, man, I think these are Augsburgers. And I was like, nah, man, these ain't no Augsburgers. And I got up and I went over and I pulled the soffit down. Like the assistant was like watching me and he was like, oh, I pulled the soffit down. And they literally had some like Mackie PA speakers.
Oh my God, the Mackie thumps.
Yeah. And I was like,
Holy
what the fuck, man? Y'all charge like $2,000 a day to be here. That's so disrespectful.
Going back, $33 billion worldwide gross. Okay? that is nothing. All right.
No, like touching on what DK had brought up too, like one of the things that I've always enjoyed about like watching your videos is like anytime I have a conversation, anybody that's ever like had a consultation or a phone call with me knows that we can go on a phone call. You know, we can go on a phone call for 4 hours just talking about shit. And one of the things that I'm always doing is like, oh, I heard you could do this. I'm like, well, hold on. That's not exactly how that works, and that's not how you want to go about things if you want to do things like on a professional level. I've always noticed that you do that in your videos. You'll kind of like, I don't know what it's called, but you'll snap yourself in and be like, hold on, I agree and I disagree for these reasons. That I really like that because not many people want to take that position, and you've put yourself into that role.
There's always, Shane says this more than I will ever, but there's nuance to this shit. There's literally, I hit Shane up to start our podcast because I was like, bro, I'd fuck with you. Like you're the exact opposite of me of being human, but yet somehow like I agree with everything you say, and that makes me interested as a person. And that to me is like the biggest thing that you can have with two people. But in reality, like there's duality to everything. There is always going to be a positive and negative side. It's like especially with social media now, it's always like, did you know that there's such a thing called the proximity effect? And whenever your thing gets close to, it's like, yes, okay, but also isn't that cool sometimes? You know, isn't it cool sometimes to do fucked up shit? Like, and nobody ever says that in the videos. No one ever says like, hey man, yeah, it's stupid to do that, but also sometimes stupid is the coolest shit ever. You know, it's the thing that I literally, David and I were just talking, who is foreshadowing, is another guest, I think, coming up. The point was, we were just talking about this, that like, I can't be replaced. You can't get a computer to get drunk at 6 o'clock in the evening and make a few mistakes and then in the morning go, that
was kind of
cool, right? You know, like, that's what makes me good at this job, you know? Like, I know everything and I've learned everything, but it's like the mistakes and the character that make this special. And so, like, if you can't acknowledge that in any video, like, you're automatically wrong in what you're doing. Because you can easily say, like, yes, fidelity is important in music, but you can also say Johnny Cash live at San Quentin is fucking the most amazing shit you've ever heard in your entire life. You know, it's like you can have these moments where you're like, yes, like things matter and you can care about them, but you can also say like, yeah, man, but Elliott Smith is fucking awesome. You know, it's like that dude recorded to a tape machine by himself, and like it's the sway of the tape and the way that it like fucks up all the time that makes those records sound really good.
Hell yeah.
I used to have an Elliott Smith record that was a little bit wobbly, you know, and so like the needle would bounce every now and then. It made me like it more, you know. It was special. I knew it was going to happen, you know.
One of my favorite examples is that and this is showing my age, Hoobastank, the band.
Oh yeah, I love Hoobastank.
The song "Crawling" sounded like absolute shit, but the child in me at the time when it came out, I was like, "This song rocks. This is my life."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the Lupe Fiasco mixtapes for me.
No, any of that stuff. It's like important to have these mistakes and these characterizations of things that make it special, and that's why we love music. We don't love perfection. We've forgotten perfection so many times. We forget perfection all the time. But the things that stick out as being like mistakes and fucked up, we're like,
We have, so in the form that we filled out, you said as a controversial take, you think gatekeeping is good.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I want to hear this.
I do think gatekeeping is good. I think there's echelons to this shit. I think that you can't touch me, dude. Like
I can't reach.
I put in 10,000 hours in my first year and a half, you know? Like I was doing 10,000 hours when I was still in assistant at a studio.
Your work ethic could be described as like a problem, like almost.
I am
health
3
concern.
divorces deep. Like multiple women have decided I've had enough.
You're not driving a minivan with 3 kids.
No, I am not.
He's riding
fathering
passenger in
2
it.
children that don't know their dad.
You have no proof of sex. Is pretty much what you're saying.
Yes,
No, he has them. They just don't know him.
Yes, I am committed to this lifestyle, regardless of where it takes me and what happens. Like I think that this, like I put everything into this. At this point, I can't give up. It would be like it would be like going to college for 20 years and then deciding like you wanted to be like a teacher. Like why? You just did all that school for what?
For what?
To teach retarded 12-year-olds like mistakes.
Oh man, that eventually turned into retarded 31-year-olds getting a million
40-year-olds,
streams on the podcast. Fuck, dude.
No, but for real though, it's like I think that gatekeeping is important. I think that there has to be somebody to stop and look around and go, look, man, you are just regurgitating what you heard. You haven't spent a single second caring about this in a real way, right? You don't care about this like I do. I slept in my studio. I'm 40 years old. I slept in my studio last night because I was working till like 3 a.m. and I was like, man, I'm pretty drunk. I should probably just stay here.
I've definitely been there.
And then I woke up and I finished the mix. I sent it off. I woke up and went, huh. Well, that actually worked out.
I do like that you say that because I remember when me and DK first started in the mix, our first session was the day after we got our keys. So nothing's in there. The desk is not in there. Nothing. I fell asleep at 5 a.m. on literally the floor behind the credenza. I just put a little pillow up, just laid down, woke up 3 hours later to greet the guest and have them start recording. And that's the work ethic that I think
100%.
You're saying like, hey, I need to see that same drive in you.
When I was building my studio, I moved into my studio in April. It was not a studio. I needed to build stuff. And while I was building during the day, I had a B room that I was like, this is small. It's already together. I'll just throw my shit in here. I can mix in here. I can do vocal sessions in here if I need to. This is my spot, right? I'm literally doing construction, like hammer nails, building shit, right? From 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And then I'm getting phone calls of people being like, hey, is it possible to come in at like 9 o'clock to do some like vocals for 3-4 hours? Like, all right. The record that we worked on, it was this guy, David Kushner. It's already got like 10 million streams on this one album, right? That was the first thing I did in my studio, was while I was still building my studio and like doing 12-hour days of construction and then being like, all right, cool, yeah, I can throw down a session at 9 p.m., and working until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., going home, sleeping for 4 or 5 hours, coming right back to the studio and building again. It's like, there's no, again, you can't be me because you're just not doing it yet. It's like you have to, until you can even talk about, I've put 20 years into this game of like 16-hour days every single day. Yeah, all right. Then we'll talk. Then we'll have a conversation, But that's the dedication it takes. Is 2 decades of I will do this all the time.
Oh yeah.
That is the thing. Like, I love that you said that there's a difference between someone that's watched a video or done some basic comparison and someone that like does the comparison because they actually care about it.
Right.
And like someone that has done the work because they care about it. And that's the one thing, like as much fun as we can have, as much as we can laugh, at the end of the day, that's one thing that you undeniably do is you love music.
I do.
And I think that is common amongst some of the top 0.1 percenters in this community, is somehow we come through the fire and the flames with maintaining our passion and love for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has to be. It has to be a love for it. It's like there's a thing, right? It's like doctors, right? They go to school for 7 years and then they got to do a residency at a hospital. And then they got to, it's like you're 10 years into doing this thing.
And you're finally getting your entry role.
And you're just getting somebody to like respect you. right? That's this industry, right? We don't get, I hate, man, I'll see sometimes people do that like engineer, like you haven't gone to school for a decade and learn. It's like, I know so much more shit than you do about your job. Whatever I know about my job, I know so much more than you do about
I just
your job,
had this happen while on tour where the guy I was working with went to school, worked with a bunch of people and everything. I trusted him with just monitor mixes.
Right.
I gave him, everything was already dialed in. The first song started, 30 seconds into the song, I get a text from the musical director, Lou, run, I need help. I'm like, what the fuck did you do? Like, you couldn't even get past one song.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like this is a high level job. This is an extremely high level job. It is on par with being a doctor. It is on par with being a lawyer. It is something that takes.
I just hope my lawyer's not drunk when we go to court.
Look, just play how you train or whatever. Train how you play or whatever the fuck it is saying. You know? Train how you fight, you know? Like
I mean, it would be a fun court case. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, dude, I would be a banging lawyer. I'll tell you that. If I loved being a lawyer, I would be this good of a lawyer. You know, like this is the one thing, like, Dee Kei mentioned that I was in the military before this. Before I was in this, I was a Marine and
You got shot.
I got shot.
Yeah.
I fought a war. I fought a whole
You
war.
fought a fucking war, like literal
This
war.
guy was in charge of people in a combat zone.
Should I feel bad for these people?
Yeah.
The way you say
Yes.
it makes me scared for them.
I do a little feel
You should
bad
be. That
for
is the
them.
correct response. That is
No, it was the early 2000s. Anything goes, you know. But no, but like when I was a Marine, I was the best Marine you ever see, man. I like when I say that, I'm not kidding. Like you could look up my service record. It's like fucking all full of great awards, and like this guy was the top of his thing because I was good at it, and so I just did it to the best of my ability all the time. And then I got out. And I was a bullet seeking a target with nothing to do. And I was like, oh my God. So they took all this training and they put it into a human being. And then they were like, all right, man, like, I don't know, sell rugs or something for the rest of your life. Like, do construction probably, you know, like, brag about this to like your kid's like soccer team or something. But I was like, oh shit. And then I like got back into music and I was like, oh shit. So I laser focused this entire time. And that's how I took it.
There you go. Well, is there any, before we let you go, Greasy, what's one last thing that you want to share, promote, say, advice, anything?
I honestly, I love our podcast. It's of all audio podcasts that have ever existed, it is the worst sounding that you could ever listen to. It's dropouts. I mean, we forget to push record most of the time. It's just me and Shane hanging out, like laughing, and then it doesn't work. And then it cuts into
For a
the
couple
middle
of professionals, this sounds like shit.
Yeah, we put no effort into it whatsoever, and it's still probably one of my favorite. I listen to it every now and then. I'm like, those crazy cats, you know. It's a good time. I love it. I'm live streaming every Monday now. Mix Mondays. We're doing live streaming on TikTok and on YouTube. You can watch that. I have Patreon because I need your $20 like a year OnlyFans site, you know.
The OnlyFans for musicians.
The OnlyFans for musicians. I like it. Patreon. Because your cousin needs help. Damn it.
The GoFundMe for streamers.
Oh, shit.
He's doing the best he can, man. He had a tough time after the war.
Veterans Day rolls around, suddenly you get a lot of subscriptions.
Yeah. God damn it. It's coming up November 11th.
All right, you guys know where to go.
Holy shit. All right. Well, once again, that is the That Sounds About Right podcast. Everyone go check it out. Everybody standing ovation for Greasy Will.
Let's go.
Before we pull into our next bucket pull special guest, we have to say a couple things. Everybody sit down. Feel free to sit down. We'll stand up again for the next guest. First off, we need to do a couple shout outs. First off, if you want to turn around, hold on, come back. We have the entire playback studios and all the assistants. We have Lucas is in the back. Everyone, raise your hand. Round of applause for Lucas in the back.
There you go.
All right. And
Wait,
Hold
Lucas,
on.
what's your Instagram handle?
yeah, what is your Instagram handle, Lucas?
It's at I am intruder.
At I am intruder.
Intruder with a B instead of
With a
Yeah.
B instead of a U.
And come here, Zane. Come to the front. Look at the cameras. Everybody, this is Zane. Zane's been helping us out the most.
everybody.
Give him the eye.
Also here.
We did a practice run last week. Zane killed it. And Zen, who's here somewhere as well, who's helping out. This was his first day as an intern, so we're going to limit how much we applaud for him. But but he's here.
He doesn't have the 10 years.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. One more time. Round of applause for Playback Studios. Playback LA here for allowing us to be here. And one more time, I realize I'm a dumb and said that we're going to do a raffle for anybody that's on the live stream. If you're on the live stream right now listening, this is very, very important. Please say, hey, I'm here to enter the raffle at this point in time. Please say, hey, I'm here, because I realize that I can't see who the watchers are. It is completely anonymous who's watching the stream. There are, a few of you that are on the stream. I don't know who the fuck you are. All right, so please say, hey, I'm here to be involved in the raffle, which we'll be doing shortly. Who's ready for that Loud and Audio raffle? We'll be doing that last just to keep you in suspense. The endorphins. All right, so up next. All right, the next guest is a good friend of mine. This is actually the first time I think we're meeting in person. Maybe that's not mistaken. We've met many times online. As a podcast, hold on. As a podcaster, sometimes people ask me, what podcasts do you listen to? And I do consider myself intellectual. All right, shut up. All right, fine, whatever. All right, but that being said, I was hoping to. I listen to this guy's podcast. This is the Progressions Pod, amazing podcast. This is one of my favorite people to listen to talk. This guy talks about the nuance, is very business minded, is incredibly articulate with his thoughts, is kind, generous, has built his own studio, as well as supports a family, which is hard to do. This guy has been an engineer for a long time and has been a recording engineer even in the great Capitol Studios.
Oh yeah.
Capitol Records Studios or whatever that's called. All right.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, just the one that you see in LA, downtown. He's worked with names like Taylor Swift, Skylar Grey, Ariana Grande. Give it up for Travis Ferris! Woo! It's so good to see you.
Will? You gonna make me follow Will? That's so fucked up.
I only have one question for you. Where is your vodka?
It's at home.
Well, dude, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm serious, y'all. This is like, I promised these guys I would promote these things, but for real, I actually listen to your podcast. I actually think it's one of the most insightful. I wish I could make my podcast more like yours, to be honest. In a kind of jealous way, in an honorably jealous way.
Well, I wish my podcast was a little bit more like yours.
Yeah,
to be honest,
stupid. Yeah. Sorry, accessible.
Yeah. I
We have a specific demographic.
All right, for a specific stupid host. Anyway, I'm kidding. That was a joke. We're not. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching the show. That sounded really bad, and I'm making it way serious.
where am I supposed to look?
So you're
Look
supposed
for
to look at all
God.
three cameras at the same time. So cross-eyed plus third eye.
All right.
Okay, so let's get into this. Your podcast, I'm sure we see the same data. Some of the episodes that are more technical focused, I'm sure gets do you get more downloads for the episodes that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, are more technical focused.
Yeah.
I assume we're the same way, where we realize the real important things are not the technical things.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with that pressure?
I swear a lot. Complain about it. No, it is crazy though, because
Wait,
it's
on the podcast or just in general?
No, on your podcast.
Hell yeah. I may begin.
You may begin now.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's I don't know. There's a lot of mindset stuff that I want to impart on people, because
of my past, I guess, of being a, engineer and sitting at bars complaining about engineering things. But that's why we do it. But I always just feel like I'm happier because of the choices I've made. But yeah, when I do a conversation with like Will, one of the top downloaded episodes, he brings an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an aura. Of craziness. All right. You said on, actually, go ahead, James. Yeah.
I was just curious because you do usually open up episodes like giving advice, like more philosophical, I guess I would say. Are there any specific like books or resources that you would recommend to help people kind of receive that good?
Oh man, I don't know. Does anybody here really want to read a book?
You missed the joke I said earlier.
I did?
Do I want to repeat it? Yeah.
Yes, you
Americans would die for their country. Americans would die for their country. How about you read a book for your country? Yeah, dude. It's a Shane Wang joke.
Hard pass for Greasy Will.
You would rather die.
Man, specific books, I don't know. God, now I feel like I'm having a self-help moment here. Atomic Habits, I think, is a really good book.
James Clear.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
Because that's like...
You've read that one, too.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me clarify. I did not read a book from my country. I listened to a book from my country.
Audiobook? That's...
and listening to it was torture.
Did you ever listen to it while reading it?
I
stole that trick from you.
Yeah.
Hold on. Will my mind blow?
Yes.
Oh, hell
okay,
yeah.
don't do that with Schwarzenegger's book because he goes way off page for like paragraphs and you're just like, what the fuck's going on?
You're like, where am I in this?
You're like, I am schizophrenic. Ooh, this is not lining up.
Did somebody give me shrooms?
Yeah, anyway.
That's incredible.
No, let's see. Atomic Habits is good because I think that if you want to make change, then you have to like start at the baseline. Like you have to change your habits there. Could it be any more?
Make them a
cheese
Well,
than that?
hold on. Let me go specifically into this. Everybody here, I mean, raise your hand if you've spent any time this last week looking up any technical tips on YouTube, right? That's great. Go ahead, raise your hands, right? Anything for anything.
Not a single
That's
person
going to be everybody here. Yeah, everybody, like almost everybody here. I do that constantly as well.
You're not looking up patch-based schematics. I don't know what you're doing.
I think it's interesting to me, and this is a sentiment that we share, that it makes sense that everybody wants the technical solve my problem now tips.
Yeah.
And I think there is, when building a skill, there's a plateau. I call it the plateau of technicality, where you're so into learning how a compressor works because it's important that you forget completely about why you use it, the emotional aspect of it. I think that goes along the lines of like, in general, with life, you have to learn how to fit into society before you start being creative and breaking out of it, maybe potentially as well. There's arguments for that. Why do people like us, even the most technical person ever, why is Mix with the Masters end up being just use your ears? Why does that happen?
Because that's the truth. But here's something that I noticed about myself years ago, and I think it like echoes through the industry, is everybody wants validation. Like you can't sit there and like do a mix and be like, oh yeah, my mix is great. You got to send it to you and then to you and then to Will. Will's going to tell you it's horrible. But you just like, you can't, I don't know, maybe it's an imposter syndrome thing, maybe it's a confidence thing, but everybody that I encounter in this industry to some extent wants their friends to be like, fuck man, that record was awesome. And you just have to get comfortable with the fact that you don't need that. Like you made art, you made music, maybe you love it, maybe the artist doesn't like it and you get fired, but you did your thing. That doesn't help when you get fired.
No, yeah.
Something that I heard in the past that Manny had said, Manny Marroquin, was, I forget what interview it was, but somebody had asked him, like, how many times has a mix come out the way you wanted it to come out? He's like, never.
Yeah, because it's not your mix.
Yeah.
It's their mix. So I don't know. Anyway, I think that's why people go down the tip rabbit hole, right? You start compressing a vocal in Logic in your bedroom and
seeking validation.
You think it sounds good, but then you don't believe that it sounds good because you have to go on the internet and see somebody tell you that your ratio was the right ratio, but it doesn't matter because it's just music.
You're like, you're preaching my life right now. Can I ask you, have you gotten over this need for validation?
No.
Do you think it's possible to?
No,
That was a very
you've got it,
confident way of saying that you're not
you've got it in
confident yet.
control at least.
I just know it exists.
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely still like would love for one of my engineering buddies to hit me up and be like, dude, that mix you did on that record sounded great, but it's not going to happen. So I can't wait for it.
I'm going to text you.
I'll give you my number.
Talking about books,
every time I release.
Even when you don't release a mix, I'm just going to randomly hit you with that.
You're like, dog, that last mix, amazing.
You're like,
you crushed it.
I retired.
It's like, which mix? That one.
That one.
You know,
the last one, it was so good.
The one.
Your best work.
That's right.
I guess a different way to put it is like how, because I guess you're not over this needing validation, but how have you learned to cope with that need?
I don't know. I think that you have to get to like, you got to get to like 28, 29, 30. You got to be pretty pissed. Probably go to bars too much. Then you roll into 30 and like the brain just starts to roll over in a different way. You just start to recognize that there's a lot of shit that you put a lot of weight on when you're younger and you're coming up and you're looking for validation that just kind of disappears when you get old.
I'm not going to lie,
like
but
it's about
what
30
you
for me
just
too.
said, I think that's what I mentally went through that flip in like the last year where it almost exactly as you said it, where it's like just one day I'm just like, honestly, I'm just going back to loving music. At this point, I'm not overthinking it. And people seem to be happy with it. As long as people are happy with it, I'm good at this point.
Well, okay. So here's the thing to shamelessly pitch my own podcast, even though you talked about it, is I started that podcast because I was frustrated that I didn't achieve what I thought that I was going to achieve, despite the fact that I worked at Capitol Studios and I had #1 records and, whatever. And I made my living as an engineer. I was still pissed about it. And so I lost my train of thought and we're live. So that sucks. And
It's real.
It's
real, dude. That's fucking real.
But anyway, so I started to
Scripted.
realize that it didn't matter what was important. It came back. Thank God. That was close. What mattered was that I was happy and I wasn't letting myself be happy with what I was doing because I was trying to be the mold. And I think part of that problem is when I came to LA, it was 2006. I went to engineering school. I was going to follow the path, right? You're like intern, assistant, engineer, producer picks you up, you work for producer, you start mixing, then you become there was like this hierarchy that doesn't exist anymore. And so I wasn't on that path and I was mad about it. So once I realized that I can make my own path, my own success, that, that's what made me happy. I work 3 days a week and I dad 3 days a week. And I still mix records that I love.
Rest?
Drink beer in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah.
This
Rest,
is
it's your Sabbath. I love it.
I'm staying quiet because this is a topic that I think about quite often and I struggle with a lot. I think I've gotten a lot better too.
It's hard.
I really like this need, this human need, this subconscious need for validation it should hit home for everybody listening right now. That especially because as musicians, there's a part of everyone that's attempting to be in the music industry that just wants to be cool. And because this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I was trying to be lame.
I mean, not to...
You're doing good. You got it.
But I mean...
Crushing it.
Talking about books, there's The Courage to be Disliked, Japanese author, really fantastic. Talks on this directly. It's about the psychology of Alfred Adler. We won't get too deep into it. Talks a lot about the feeling of inferiority and getting over that. And the way that you said I got quiet because just a lot of things connected. And there's a lot of times that we live in fear, wanting to seek validation. I don't think the answer, tell me about this. I don't think the answer is complete eradication of that insecurity. I think a little bit is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that you need it, but I also think if you really want to be if you want to be an artist and you want to be massively successful, there also needs to be a level of just blindness to everything going on around you. you're not affected. Things bounce off you because you're like, I'm the greatest thing that ever lived. And you kind of need that to a certain extent if you want to be at the top.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to ask for your view on a topic that has already blown over on social media, but it was brought up a lot and a lot of people touched on it where, what's his name? The dude that looks like Buddha. He's a producer.
Rick Rubin?
Rick Rubin, that guy. I'm not saying he looks like Buddha, but you get the image of a bald head and a round guy. Okay, hey, look, he got it on first try.
That's insane.
He got it.
I have no idea how you got
as
that.
As long as you want to say I was right enough for him. But there was that thing that there was an interview where they asked him about when producing a song, like how to approach it, and he talked about you got to produce a song for yourself. Forget the audience. Just do it for yourself. And everybody seemed to have a very hot take, and it was very polarizing for a lot of people. I don't know if you saw that clip or what your view on that is.
I didn't see that clip. But I mean, I don't know. I guess you do have to do it for yourself to a certain extent, but you're also there to serve someone else. And that's the greater purpose. But I don't know. I read half of his book.
The other half just sitting cash.
The other half, I don't know. My daughter took the bookmark out, and I don't know. I mean, I can understand like him with his mindset reading the 200 pages I read. I can kind of get where he's coming from, but if you were to ask me that question, I'd say that you're serving the music. But I guess now that I say that out loud, serving the music might be doing it for yourself. If that's a better result.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I noticed that something to take from what you were talking about was, when we look for validation, right? Sometimes we might make a song in the hopes of somebody just liking it more than we like it ourselves, mixing a song into the way that we think somebody else will like it more than we like it ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's like the especially in mixing, it's just that battle. I think you reach a point if you're mixing that you have to stay true to like what the producer and the artist wanted, right? You kind of have to do the rough mix plus 10%. And I feel like for a lot of people, like that's maybe where their career stalls because they never figure out how to also put themselves into that. And I'm not saying that I can do that. I'm not saying that everybody can do that. But if you can take your own sound and influence the artist's vision while the artist's vision is still what they want, that's when you're in that upper echelon.
In that good bubble.
In that good bubble. You're getting them big hits.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. Very
Travis, you're genuinely one of my favorite human beings. I love the way you think. And no, I'm being dead serious. The way that you think is like autistic.
Weird.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I think about like when with your show, I think a lot about the same things, and I think we share the same frustration where it's like it's difficult to get to the point, to pass this plateau of technicality, to get to the point of like remembering what's the most important thing. And I wish you should, if you're listening to this podcast, you should listen to more of that. And you should listen to Travis's podcast, Progressions, available on Spotify, Apple.
I prefer YouTube because I spend way too much time editing video.
Honor him with YouTube. Can we do that, everybody?
Yes, can we get everybody on YouTube?
Yeah.
Everybody, Any last thoughts that you want to share before we bring in our next guest? Anything that you want to share?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't get anything else.
That's all.
Everybody, y'all felt that vulnerability a bit? Is it just me? Y'all felt something?
Yeah.
Y'all felt that? That's real. That's some real shit. Everybody put your hands together and stand up for Travis Ferris! All right, let's go. Let's look at this YouTube chat here. I see a few people saying, hey, I'm here. I think we might do the raffle for the online thing for after this next guest. If you are watching the live stream, say, hey, I'm here in the chat. Say, hey, I'm here in the chat if you want to be raffling. Enter the raffle for the Kive Audio NF Fuse. I think that's what it's called. Kive Audio. Eddie's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. Great plugins. Love his plugins. Amazing coder. I've talked to him about some of his backend for coding. I've made a couple stupid plugins myself. And his plugins are absolutely genius now that I know a little bit of what's going on. Fantastic guy, fantastic plugins, just absolute genius. All right, this next guest is the GOAT, all right, is one of the most goats of the goats. All right, this guy is nice enough that he'll probably make you feel like he's already your friend. All right. He is the sweetheart of the music industry. By the way, I created that title for him because I think it's well deserved. He's all of our mentors. He's every engineer's favorite engineer. This guy right here. This is Grammy Award winning, multi-platinum, gold, whatever the hell, Usher, BTS, Neo. Give it up for Bob Horn!
Yeah.
Woo! Welcome. Welcome to the show. Give it up one more time for the GOAT.
Yeah.
One more time for the GOAT.
The man of the cleanest low end you'll ever hear.
Do it.
The best low end.
Do it.
Dude, you know how many times I've gotten a mix from Bob to master and I just like immediately text him like, dude, you have to stop. He's like, what? I'm like, you're fucking low end, dude.
To this day, one of your mixes that you've done, I forgot what it is. It's the hot and cold one. It's got like, anyway, it's forgot. I could pull up my Spotify playlist, but your low end to this day is something that I reference almost every time I'm doing something really tight on the low end.
I appreciate it. Like it's one of those things where like we have a mutual client that loves his low end. And every time he's like, can I get it a little bit louder? I'm like, I almost don't want to touch it, man. Like, it sounds great already.
By the way, if you're not an engineer, low end is bass frequenons, not his ass. All right, we got to be clear.
But in the different context.
But that's up to your own opinion. On
your own opinion.
Right.
You determine.
We'll leave that to the public. I actually have a question. When you're generous enough to let me come over to your setup and show me around, if I remember correctly, you said that since you moved, because you used to have your old studio that you mixed out of.
Echo Bar.
Yes,
Echo Bar.
Legendary, sounds great. And you told me that you've gotten better feedback about your low end since you've been to your new setup in your home.
Not the low end, actually. Just actually probably the mid range. But
really?
My mixes are less processed now. So I had a really swanky room, like one of the best sounding control rooms in LA.
Yeah. It was actually used as the reference point for a lot of studios in LA.
Yeah. But I was there for 12 years and I mixed on really huge speakers called Asperger's, and they're amazing. Some of my favorite speakers. But I think when I moved home, because I found myself like twice the size of this studio, and I just found myself sitting there alone all the time in this like 3,000 square foot facility because everyone would leave late afternoon and then I'm just there. I'm paying for all the square footage. All my other mixer friends are mixing from home. So I thought, let me try this. And someone happened to offer to buy the studio. So I was like, all right, let me put a setup at home and see if I can do this. And then stop paying for this large facility. And what I found was once I got used to the room, my mixes were less processed, less EQ, just less plugins per track, less thought, more just feeling the music and coming out with this musical mix more than a technical, perfect EQ, every notch, little frequency done, so that's kind of what happened.
Okay.
And, I'm just mostly I'm enjoying the result of my mixes more. I think it's more drastic for me because of the way we look at our own sound and everything. And I think other people hear it, but less than I do. I think it was mostly a shock to me.
Do you think that's because you're just more comfortable at home, or do you think it's an acoustics thing?
I think it's a few of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's technically, if you brought an acoustician, they'd say it's worse acoustics.
Oh.
But because I literally took over living room and dining room, the whole thing, and that's my studio.
Hell yeah.
So technically, it's not right. It just works, and I know it, and I learned it, and I'm just creating really good stuff. But I think a big thing is comfortability. Just rolling out of bed and like, let me start a mix before I'm even showered.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a different thing than having to like, okay, I'm leaving for the day. I'm going to be at the studio for 10 to 12 hours. If I forget something, I'm not going to drive back home. It's a whole different mindset. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I just get up, go watch something with the wife, have lunch, to come back, mix again, and have like 3-hour sessions rather than one straight 12-hour, or 9-hour, whatever.
We share that similarly. We both have spent a majority of our early career in larger facilities, and then had we can say the blessing, the gift to be able to work from home,
right?
Where most people are trying to leave the home to work at a big facility, right? Man, it fucking rocks.
It does.
It rocks.
It does if you can do it correctly. It's like you got to have the flexibility to make it sound good. Obviously, if you're in an apartment, it's hard to construct things and move walls, and you're kind of limited. When you own a house, it's the best thing. It's like just having a home studio that's really good and professional.
Yeah.
Do you think you could actually give a quick breakdown of like visually how it's set up? Because if someone who doesn't know what acoustic panels looks like, it looks like almost a pillow fort like around your mix setup.
I like the idea
like
of
the
a
attack
pillow
wall
fort.
around you.
Yeah. So I basically just went online to GIK Acoustics and bought a bunch of panels. I think I bought 25 panels, and I spent a week. I laid out 8 of them on the floor and built a wood frame and put lights in it and created a cloud. And then 4 of my friends and I hoisted it up with chains. And so that's the cloud. And then all the others are just around me. And my buddy Eric, co-owner of the Echo Bar, he just came over. We set up a measurement mic and we just started moving panels. So we'd zap the room, it'd play a bunch of frequencies through the speakers. We'd see how flat it was and how messed up things were. Move this panel, try it again. Move this panel, try it again. And we just did that until we got the best response. And then we tried a little bit of EQ just to kind of finalize it. And then about a week, maybe 2 weeks later, I had learned it. So when I went to the car or sent a mix to a client, they heard what I intended. So, and then after that, I just kept going. And I was like, you know what? I am fine with selling the Echo Bar. It's like, this is going to work,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
I think something that, as you mentioned, it was like it could be a number of factors that kind of made that working from home kind of also resulted in like less processing in your mixes. I think we had talked in the past about, I guess because you were in such a clinical room and versus not now, there's also less you're being finicky about.
Right.
Like, have you found that to kind of be the case? Do you feel like
less
in the course of
over stuff? It's like I pull up.
Like, how long are you tuning your snare now? How long are you working on the snare now?
Oh, I don't know, for like 2 minutes or something. But it's like now it's like you pull up a track and it's like, does that need anything? And before I'd be like, okay, there's 5 things I can put on that. Let me like try 3 of them. And now it's like I pull up the sound like, yeah, it doesn't need anything. Move on.
Yeah.
and I'm thinking more about the groove and the song and the lyrics and less about the resonance of 2K on that one little sound,
Yeah.
You do have a background. You are a phenomenal musician. I don't know if people know this. Like you can
He's a
actually,
drummer.
yeah, you're a great drummer.
Oh, thank you.
And you can play other things well too.
Right.
It's fantastic, dude.
Thank
You are just a musical guy and a happy guy. Hey, can I talk about one of my favorite lessons that I've ever learned on this podcast? Actually came from your episode. This may be I don't know if it's okay to share this.
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
you shared it once. I'm going to share it again.
It's probably fine.
A few years ago, you had a health crisis.
Yeah.
And on the episode that we recorded before, you spoke directly about what you think caused this health crisis. Was it a stroke?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Man, crazy. And you figured it out. You're like, and you said something beautiful on the episode. You said, I was known as the guy that was willing to bend over backwards for anyone. You call me, I will drive to the studio 4 a.m. to do a fucking revision that you're not even going to check 2 days from now.
Right.
But I'm willing to do
it.
You were that guy.
Yeah.
And then you said, after I had my stroke on the episode, you said, I realized after about 20 years of doing that. By the way, his history, guys, right? Graduated from Berkeley, drove out to LA on 9/11.
9/11.
On 9/11, 2001.
Holy shit. That was a busy day.
That was a very
Emotionally traumatic. And did like the LA dream thing, right? And then early career, Michael fucking Jackson, y'all.
That's how
Put
he
your
says
hands
his name.
together. Early career. All right. And and you do everything. And then you have this moment that it just like, on this podcast, you became a little vulnerable for a minute. And then you're like, I realized that all of those years that everybody that treated me poorly, it wasn't worth the benefit that I got. Or like the way that you worded it was beautiful. Can you explain that a little bit?
Okay, so, when you're an assistant and intern, and especially early 2000s and the way things worked, it's like you're trying to climb the ladder. So you get an internship at a studio and you just have to keep your mouth shut and make everybody happy. You don't want to miss anything. If an artist is coming in, Jay-Z, and Jay-Z likes Diet Dr. Pepper, you better have that fridge stocked with that, thing, so you're a detail person. Like all you're doing is like trying to make everybody happy. And the goal is never say no. So it's like, can we do this? Can we get this effect? Can we make the drum sound like this? You always want to say yes. And that's the goal. But you can take that too far and people will just, as long as they test you and they start to see what they can get away with, they'll just keep going. And I just fell into these traps where it's like, someone wants stems printed for a record and they act like they need them tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy like, okay, well, I've already been here 12 hours. I'll stay 4 more hours to get your stems for you. So I make you happy and you'll come back and hire me again. What I discovered is after I almost worked myself to death, basically pandemic happened March 2020. From March to October 1st, I mixed 125 songs.
Holy shit.
That's insane.
When I had the stroke, when I got out of it and I started to do, it's like, I'm coming back. I'm okay. I recovered like 90, 95%. Let me start doing 8-hour days or like 4 hour. I think I started 4-hour days. I'll just come do a little bit of mixing. A couple clients that were like real close to me, they're like, they know what I'm going through. Yeah, man, do this one song, take 2 days, 3 days. It doesn't matter. Like they're helping me get back into it. So I'm doing this stuff. And a few months later, I'm like doing 8-hour days instead of 15-hour days. And no one cared. And they'd say, hey, can you do these stems? I'd be like, no, I'll do them tomorrow. And no one cared. They're like, yeah, cool. Tomorrow's fine too. So I realized it was like just a self-learning thing. It's like, they'll wait for you as long as you're a pro and you get the job done. You make the client happy. You don't have to bend over backwards and ruin your life for them.
I remember when we recorded this episode, because obviously me and DK had like still been early years of our studio that we started together, but I've always been a workaholic. And that was always kind of my mindset, kind of like how I brought up earlier in the live stream, that like even when we opened the studio, the day we got the keys, I already had an 8 a.m. session the next day. So I slept on the floor in the studio setting it up, and it was one of those things where I'm like, if somebody like Bob was able to put up boundaries and he says it really helped and he wish he did it sooner, I'm like, I maybe should try implementing this because one of the strains in my relationship, I've been with my wife 14 years this coming November. But I've talked about it in the past where like at one point I was going to school full time, I was working full time, and I owned my first studio. And I was that guy. Every call, I would just say yes, 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 because like you mentioned, climbing the ladder.
Right.
And so once I started putting into effect what we talked about on that day, I did notice that, holy shit, if anybody did drop off, it was a lot of like those clients that needed immediacy that wasn't actually as beneficial to the growth that I was seeing.
Right.
Kind of like the 80-20 kind of playing into effect.
Yeah.
So oddly enough, that episode, even though it wasn't like a direct conversation between us, but rather a topic on the podcast, that was something that I started seeing other people kind of DM me and say like that episode was one of my favorites because it made the biggest difference that I never knew it could make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do it out of passion, you do a 15-hour session because you're into the music, you got all these ideas to get out, and you're having fun and you're happy, that's fine. Obviously, a doctor will tell you that, too much of that is still bad, but it's a different thing than when you feel like you're forced into a situation where you don't want to be doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to stay away from, because those clients that act like they need that thing right then and there, most of them don't. They just want it.
I always say there's no such thing as a business emergency.
Right.
When you call the post office on a Saturday, what do? Wait till fucking Monday. Yeah.
Right.
I would say like, because I'm in the earlier stages of my career with that. Like even in the earlier stages, people are pretty respectful when I set good boundaries and things like that.
Yeah. It's a good culture to create. I learned this is such a good episode. In fact, that episode for me was crucial for me because I am a natural workaholic. Okay, got it from my father, just running away from my emotions by working too much, I guess. And when we first met, the first time we ever met, before we even recorded that episode, I had just moved to LA, and my wife wasn't here. It was just me while my wife was away in our old home in a different state, and I was just here. And I think I was trying to hide the pain of being away from family as well. And there's 168 hours in a week. And I worked about 155 to 160. I slept about 8 hours total for an entire week. And immediately after that, I went into a straight depression for about 6 months, something that still creeps up every once in a while. Well, until relatively recently. And I think it's beautiful that obviously you got to take care of yourself, which is a big part of the episode. There's a few people here that said their favorite episode is the ones that are about mental health. And the opposite hand, I love that you said you got to save the energy for when, for example, for when Michael Jackson calls you, or for like when you can't doing it all the time in case Beyonce calls you tomorrow, and then you got to be able to do that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I just cannot thank you enough for helping me personally, as well as all the listeners for sharing your advice on that.
Yeah, you gotta keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Very much. You gotta keep yourself healthy so you can give to the music, so you can be creative, so you can, bring something good to the world. You
can feel something. Yeah.
So Bob, I got one. So because I know me, you and Dee Kei have gone to lunch together, and I know we can go. But I got a quick question for you. All right. So I've always known you to be the kind of guy that likes to try new gear. We've done converted shootouts together and stuff like that.
That was a fun one, actually.
But you, as much as you try new gear, you don't try new gear too often. There's always something special that you've found in each unit that you've kept. It
has to be better than the plugin,
or else you're not buying
or
it.
plugin of it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Now, with that said, is there any specific piece of gear in your rack? Because you've got a few pieces. You don't have like the Ocean Way wall or anything, but you've got a few choice pieces is the way I would describe it. Which one is the most choice in your opinion? Like which one is, if you had to take one with you, sell the rest? Like which piece do you back the most?
If it has to be one, that would be the Hazelrig VNE compressor, which they have right here in the front.
Yeah.
That's my absolute favorite.
What is it about it that you like?
So when you compress something,
WPM,
with most compressors, it gets degraded a little bit when you do extreme compression. So like if you take a mono drum room mic and you crush it, the reason they call it crush is because it gets all kind of
pumpy and
like
distorted. Yeah.
And compression is another form of distortion. It's just very subtle.
Yeah.
The VNE uses something called pulse width modulation, which I can't scientifically explain. Like you got to look at the website for that. But no matter how much you crush it, there's no degradation of the signal.
Interesting. Okay.
So for vocals, especially like modern pop vocals where we like to just level that thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite pieces.
Okay.
Awesome. By the way,
I got to come by and try that at some point. I'll bring the tube tech and everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Technical tip for this episode, the ones that have been thirsting for the technical tip. Another type of compressor. We got Verimute, we got optical, we got FET, we got VCA. Nobody ever talks about the with pulse modulation.
Pulse width modulation.
Pulse width modulation, the PWM.
There's only three.
You got the Hazelrig one, you got the Great River one, and
DW Fern.
DW Fern, which is Hazelrig, same guy? Different guy?
So Hazelrig works for Hazelrig Brothers.
I apologize. Sweet.
Yeah.
So there's it's another type of compressor that nobody really talks about. Yeah. So it's a cool one to look
My
into.
favorite new piece though is the Mercury 666 Fairchild.
Okay,
I saw you post that one.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
Hold on. Gear alert.
Nerds. But yeah, I'm definitely talking to you about that one later.
All right, Bob. Anything else that you want to share with us as we finish up this interview?
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here.
And you're always happy, no matter where you go, dude. All right, everybody, standing ovation for the legendary Bob Hart!
Too kind.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. All right, we only have a few guests left. Thank you. And if you're watching the stream upstairs in the green room, for the guests in the green room, thank you so much for being patient. We only have a few people left. We're going to finish this up. First off, before we move on, I need to pee. I'm going to pee real fast. It'll be super duper fast.
Can you just
and I will wash my hands. I will wash my hands. I don't know how much we can say on stream. I don't know how much we can say on stream, but Loud and Audio, we're big fans of Loud and Audio.
Oh, yeah. Loud and Audio has been a long time supporter of, like, honestly, up and coming artists. Not just that, but even engineers. Like, they showed a lot of love even before we did the podcast. And not only that, but they're hand built in San Jose.
Hell yeah.
They're out in the Bay Area, but aside from that, they've been creating some of the craziest microphones. And one of the questions I always get is, you know, what is it like? You know, is that supposed to be like a 251? Is it supposed to be an 87? Like, what kind of mic is it? They're not meant to be anything. They're their own microphone brand. They have their own unique sound. And so that's kind of the dope thing. It's not just another clone company coming out with a copy. And lately, if you see, like, even their drum mics are going insane. They're being taken all over on tours. It's just really dope people. And Trent, funny enough, has been the guy that like really reaches out. And Bryson, who was here, he actually is the one that got me connected with Lawton, which ended up resulting in the podcast getting with Lawton.
Yeah. And by the way, if you didn't win, that's cool because I don't know how much I can say, but if you talk to Lou or Bryson,
yeah, just let us know and we'll help you get the right deals.
They can do things. They can do things that I'm not allowed to disclose on the internet.
We can do things that make you smile. Do with that what you will.
And help with the mic.
Okay?
Hand jobs.
Shake my hand, DK. Shake my hand.
Boo.
I'm not letting go now.
All right.
Okay.
We should get, because we have some guests waiting upstairs, so we should probably get
let's get going. Let's honor these guests by bringing them down real quick.
After what you
real
said.
Heroes. We appreciate
All right,
them.
up next is another legend of the game, someone that you may recognize. If you don't, you're not involved with a society. This next guest is a platinum mix and mastering engineer.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on the podcast a couple times. We've hung out. He is a hardcore rocker. He's one of the strongest, biggest muscular men you've ever met in your life. He's kind of scary, honestly, but just how strong that he is. All
but
right.
He's also very nice.
This guy is one of the kindest people you've ever met. Relatively recently married as well, which I think that's something to applause for. Fucking, I mean, beyond the plaques is like, fucking committing to something or someone. That's amazing. Give it up for David MixbusTV.
Yeah.
How's it going? Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Well, at least the $100 that I gave you for the introduction.
Really made it worth it.
They bend really easily to bribe, so that's a good thing to do.
$100.
Wait, you're getting
any
paid?
of these, you can double.
Whatever one calls for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. First of all, thank you, everybody.
Welcome, David. Welcome to the show. Y'all have seen this guy. Put your hands together one more time for David. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Always good to see you. Your studio, are you still doing bunkers?
I do, yeah. I do, yeah. That's my second.
Your second thing?
Second studio.
Second studio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your first being yours.
My
personal one.
private mixing and mastering suite. And then this one is a commercial facility where it's open to the public. And,
yeah.
you know.
Can I ask you, you've done a lot of videos. We've probably watched all of them and then some, right? By the way, the with pulse modulation thing, the different types of compressor, this guy's like one of the only guys that actually addressed that on the different types of compressors episode. Nobody else has addressed that. This guy did. All right, so he's on some shit. All right, that's what I'm saying.
Because I don't have any social life, so
Yeah.
all I do is like mixing and messing with the hardware and plugins.
Well, let's ask the real questions. What are you squatting these days?
Actually, hold on.
That was actually my
As a
question.
guy that goes to the gym, I'm curious.
So right now, I don't know. My max is probably like 4 or 5.
What's your working set?
My working set is like 360, 375 for like
Nice.
triplets.
Yeah.
Damn.
Holy
Give it
shit.
up for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. All right.
My deadlift is max is 500.
Holy shit.
Holy shit. All right.
That was
You
good.
know, I was hold on. I was proud with 345s and a 25. I'm not adding it up in my head right now, but I know it's definitely not bad. Holy shit, bro.
Dude, amazing.
I have actually, can I ask an actual
Go
question
ahead.
with that? Like, because like working out a lot of stuff, do you see like benefits from that translate into your
100%.
working in music?
And it's funny because I get asked this quite often.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I can say is it trains your willpower. It trains your determination, right? And so you get used to do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, right? Because I don't feel like every time load 300 plus pounds on my back and squat, but I do it anyway. So this taught me that you don't have motivation every day. You don't have inspiration every day, but you can have discipline every day.
Yes.
And so
that.
this translate like, hey, this mix is not sounding the way it should or the way I want it. I'm not leaving this chair until it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what's up.
Incredible. And you are definitely like, I mean, how long have you been doing MixbusTV for? How many years?
So actually YouTube just communicated to me that was 10 years.
Nice. Yeah.
The,
I remember watching the channel pretty early on, like way before me and DK met. And so when he told me, he's like, yeah, we're going to be having MixbusTV do an interview with us. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to say beyond, we've seen your shows, we've seen your episodes. We know that you have a lot of technical knowledge. You are a colleague nerd, just like all of us, right? But you also have a really interesting and cool history. English is a second language. You're an immigrant,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I was born in Italy.
You're Italian?
Yeah, I was born in Italy.
I didn't know.
yeah.
I knew.
What do you think I was?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to say what I thought.
You weren't moving your hands
See,
while talking.
I didn't know you were Italian, but I also never researched it.
I
But
didn't know that, actually.
because of like your strength and your gym ethic, I was like, this guy's got to be German. You know what I mean? I was like,
You're
this
not
guy's
that
way
far
too
off.
strong. Yeah.
Not only we are close, but I did live in Germany for a little
No
bit.
way.
Yeah, I lived in
What-
Paris for a little bit.
What part of Germany did you live in?
Berlin.
Berlin? No. Yeah, nice.
I mean, classic European, been all over. More experience than every American. All right, but I mean, the thing that you don't, sometimes you talk about it, but I find it really interesting, your story, right? Like, not only did you come here, you were a full-on rock dude. Like, you were singing, you were the front man of a band.
Yes.
You had some relative success.
Yes.
And you're still like, you still look like you're the coolest guy ever. You know what I'm saying? You still look like you're rocking your pants off every day, you know?
Well, my
tell us a
mohawk
little bit.
was blue before, so I kind of calmed down a little.
Tell us a little bit. I mean, we all seen the videos. Tell us a little bit about that story, that part of David that you don't get to introduce too often.
Yeah, that's how I somewhat started, let's say, professionally in music, because I started playing guitar probably when I was 9 years old, because they gifted me one for my birthday, and I always sucked, but I was really good at playing with pedals, so that should have been like a sign probably already. Knobs,
Red flag.
knobs before like actual
Yellow
playing.
flag.
But that was my band. I formed this band, and few years in, we got signed with Universal Record.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
And that was not a happy relationship, let's put it this way.
Hell no.
Because what happened,
White noise.
it happened to me, it wasn't so to speak, it wasn't a special thing, meaning what happened to me, it happened to a lot of bands, unfortunately.
Of course.
The band got shelved. We are talking about 2007, 2009. Those were the years. And those were later on labeled as the Shelving years. And I was in this 6 years contract, 3 albums, 1 every 2 years. And after the first, and there was the whole speech. Like you would think would be in a movie. Like you're going to be the next superstar and all that. You're going to be on magazines. You're going to be this and you're going to be that. So you really think like, oh shit, I made it. Right?
Yeah.
And the truth is, if you're not at one of the priorities or one of the top artists of a label, they don't give a shit about you. That's the reality. Or it was back then, but it's not that different today. And what happened is, we didn't see a dime after the first album. And when you do this, like some people do this and then they are smart enough to have like maybe a second job or something like that so they can make money while they're pursuing their music career, which is the smart thing to do, people. Don't be me. Don't make my mistakes. And when you do this for a living and they don't pay you, well, that's a fucking problem, right? And so, that's what happened. That's one day, like, 3 of my songs went on Rock Band 3, the video game.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, only I didn't know. And so, so I was in the car with my bass player and a friend of ours calls us on the phone and says like, hey, congratulations. I'm like, for what?
You're on Rock Band. Holy
for what? And I was like, the video game. And they're like, what are you talking about? And so, I didn't know anything. It was like, I Googled your band's name on YouTube and Rock Band 3. And there was like 50 videos of people playing my songs. I didn't know, didn't see a dime. And I said, and put a lawyer, because I really didn't want to give them another album. So the lawyer said, they are in breach of contract. You're going to win, no doubt. Here's the problem. They are a major. They have all the money in the world. They're going to drag it for 10 years. You don't know how much you're going to get at the end. They can claim whatever they want.
I didn't realize this was that much of a horror story.
Yeah. And those were the CD years. So it's not like today you have a streaming where you can take a look how much, You
have no idea. They're keeping data from you.
Yeah, you don't have access to the back end in those days. And so, the only thing that we were able to do is break free from the contract for the second album. The second album, we released it. It was called Black Hop and was released with Danza Macabre Record, which was a big independent owned by Bruno from Das Hich. And it was much better, but at that point, they kind of killed the passion for me.
Yeah.
Because it was such a grind. And there were other small issues. For example, the first tour for the second album, I was on tour with Hansel and Gretel from New York, another industrial band. And we played the first show, and then we were supposed to hop on a tour bus and then do the other shows. And we played the show, 2 bands, full like rigs of lights and everything and all that. And we go to hop on the bus 3 a.m. and there was no bus because the tour manager ran out with money. And so we didn't know how to get to the next venue, which was the Viper Room, sold out. And if you don't go, it's a problem.
Oh my goodness.
And so we had to like rent vans and cars and whatever, get there somewhere. And I remember that was the night. And that was the first day of the tour, but that was the night that I called my best friend on the phone. I said, I can't do this shit anymore.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
The good thing is that I was already engineering for other bands and people when I was in the band. I never promoted it, and I lost a lot of credits actually because of that. Because back in the years, it wasn't cool like it is today.
Interesting. Yeah.
It was today is kind of cool if you do everything yourself, right? It's awesome. Back then, the other bands were, if you're doing yourself or if you're doing engineer on the side, they were looking at you and asking like, are you broke or something? Like it wasn't cool like it's today.
It was a status thing.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. You know? And especially like in the industrial genre back in those years were like mainstream. We're talking about Manson was on MTV, music award night playing with his chaps out. Yeah. It was awesome, And so it was a status thing. But fortunately for me, I was already doing it. And I realized very soon that I liked that lifestyle better. just as a lifestyle, because also, you know, I'm a healthy guy. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't party. So even the backstage life, it wasn't really for me. Because, you know, especially when we were touring with other bands or we were playing festivals, everybody was like drunk out of their mind. And I'm like, hey, the only one, you know, I don't fit here. You
Trying
know,
to have a coherent conversation with somebody who's not coherent.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was playing in Helsinki one festival, like, and you know, there was a bunch of bands, and the only band that I kind of bonded with was Morty's, because they were like, you know, sober like me. So I was always in their locker room because they were the only people I could talk to. Yeah. But you know, when you're in this situation, you need to realize I'm the fish out of water, because this is the rock star life. And I was like, you know what? I like a lot better to be in my clean studio with my board and my outboard, my food, you know, and that's it. And so it was kind of, you know, a natural evolution, let's say.
So I have a question about nowadays, right? So MixbusTV started 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what's kind of funny is I remember the first video I saw from you was actually calculating Pro Tools round trip latency. You know, manually.
Still going strong.
Yeah. Still going strong,
Because Pro Tools didn't change.
They haven't fixed it 10 years ago.
It didn't get better.
Yeah, it never did.
Every other DAW.
You know,
every other DAW.
One of the cool things about your channel is that aside from seeing the progression from like you kind of starting it out, and obviously like anything new isn't like the greatest quality, to where it is now, you've got this amazing home studio and everything as well. And now you're recently married. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Give this man a round of applause. Commitment nowadays is harder to find.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shout out to Bella. That's
hell yeah. And speaking of Bella, you know, you guys have actually kind of started a musical act together where she's the main artist, right? She sings.
Yes.
You're producing, mixing everything. What has that been like for you? You know, because you're obviously busy with your work, the YouTube channel and everything, but this is something that you share with each other. Like, what's that like?
So, first of all, it was not in the plans for me to go into what happened with her, which is full-blown artist development. Mm-hmm. I never thought I wanted to do it, could do it.
You guys are doing it big, because I remember running into you guys at one of the music videos at a venue that I was head engineer for.
Yeah. So it was not not even in the back of my mind, because it takes so much time and effort, and it's so hard. It's probably arguably the hardest thing that you can possibly try to do in the music business, to break into the market as an independent artist right now. It's, you know, borderline impossible. But what happened is that she was so freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. And the way it happened is like they introduced each other. She was doing movies and TV series before. She didn't like it. She always wanted to do music, and you know, she decided, I'm done with that. I'm done with all the auditions and all that. Fuck that. And I want to do music, and I want to concentrate on that. And so a common friend introduced each other, because they said, like, I think this is the guy for you. I think you should hear this girl. And we met at Westlake Pro. In the old location. The old location. Yep. And she said hi to me. And I was like, who was that sound that came out of your voice?
I remember you telling me this story, and I was like, oh, that is the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
If I was blind, I thought she was Japanese, dude. Like,
yeah, no, it was like, it's because you guys heard her, like you met her in person as well. Like she's a real life fairy, to the point that people think that she fakes her voice, and she's not. I wake up to that. I can attest to it. That's how she talks. And her voice was so incredible that even just her speaking voice, that I was like, holy shit. And she had 2 demos on the phone, nothing more. But I was like, I want to be the guy who at least try and see what happens. So we were like completely professional relationship at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't promise you anything. You know, I'm not like a big A&R or something, but I can promise you I will do everything that I can. I don't want money. I don't want nothing. Like, if it goes well, we'll see what happens. And that, because I simply thought this can't go to waste. And I thought that her voice was her best selling card, right?
Yeah.
This, you know, fairy voice that she has. And I was right and I was wrong at the same time, because when we actually started writing together, I realized that her strength is what a great lyricist she is.
Gotcha.
And you can tap on a table and she can write a top line.
Mm-hmm.
And the lyrics along with it. So when I was mixing Heartbreak Motel, I actually take a break because I was like tearing up.
Oh,
and I had to like stop and be like, what the fuck is going on? Let's go out. Yeah. Smoking it. And I heard that song a million times and it still gets me. I've seen grown men going like when listening to it, right? And so that's her strength. It's like she can pull out this stories because that's how she writes. Mm-hmm. She writes stories and then we turn it into music. That you can tell by the reaction of people when they listen to her music is like she touches souls.
Yeah.
And so that's how it was never a plan or something that I thought I could or wanted to do. It's just it was a call. Like it was when people say like some people you have to do it. You cannot not do it. And some people do music because that's their vocation. That's what happened with her.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, something that I personally find inspirational. Maybe members of the audience do as well. English is my second language, actually. Mm-hmm. And, growing up in Japan and then moving here, it's, I find a ton of inspiration for others that have done the same. And it's this weird thing because we do this really difficult thing in a world that America's different, very different.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. And I just am so inspired by people like you. And it's funny because it's like totally on brand for everything. You got fucked by the label, right? Just in general. And yet here you are still lifting fucking 500 pounds. And the coolest thing, and I add this. I've always believed that quantity builds quality. People are like quantity quality. I have to say, your videos, it's not unlike a 4K Sony camera. Is it your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your phone.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's just his phone, y'all. It's just his phone.
And good
and you
lighting.
fucking did it. And you're doing
That's a good point. Good lighting. Yeah.
And I find, not just the content, but the fact that you, to a certain degree, a healthy amount of I don't give a shit is so inspiring, especially when you two are like immigrant second language in America. And I just cannot say how inspiring and awesome that is. So thank you so much. Everybody
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And on that note, everybody follow this guy, subscribe to this guy, MixbusTV, mixing and mastering courses. 10 seconds of, tell us about what they can find in your courses.
The courses, there's many. First of all, I'm kind of known, so to speak, for genre hopping. So
genre hopping, yeah.
Yeah, so in courses, you can find literally metal to pop or hip hop. So every course is a different genres. I have courses specifically for vocal production. That is one of the best selling. People loved it. Where I actually break down Goodbye from Bella, which has an extremely complex matrix of vocals and vocal tracks. And it's super in-depth. If you saw my videos, you know how in-depth I go. OCD kind of in-depth. So there's not just what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it and how.
That's actually what got me into Mixbus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's, because if you don't give context and why you did what you do, it's just you give people a bunch of presets that are useless.
More why, less how.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about people hitting you up for presets? All right. David, everybody, stand up. Standing ovation for David.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, who's having a good fucking time?
Yeah!
Hi, David. All right, we only have 2 more guests for y'all before we close this. Shut this thing down. Well, I think we've been having a good time. This has been good. This is all impromptu. We fucking put this thing together last minute. Holy shit! This is actually seems like we know what we're doing.
I think my favorite question tonight has been, which camera do I look at?
Yeah, there you go. Everybody. Yeah. 2 more guests. This next guest is crazy. You may not, he doesn't have the biggest online presence, but I kid you not, you should be stalking this guy. You should be stalking this guy.
You have our
not
permission.
already?
You're allowed
You
to.
should be looking up. Like, once you look up his credits, you'll be like, oh my fuck. I've been listening to all of these songs that he's mixed, and I've never even realized it. This guy is genuine. I've never met him before, actually. This is my first time meeting him. I wish we could say, I hope to say after this we'll be friends. This is an incredible mix engineer. Has spent some major time with some of the greats. Has worked with artists like Post Malone, Doja Cat, Glass Animals, Amine, Donny Lay. Give it up for David
My brother from another. How are you doing, sir?
Welcome to the Mixing Music Podcast. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, you were all trying to reject. I think
Lil went out and then you butted it
I
out.
cut everybody off. Grab a
I bet your hands are very soft.
Yeah.
They are.
Sorry for
other side of it.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about that.
Sure, shoot.
You have had, from what I can tell, I've only observed, right? So I'm trying to hear your side of the story.
Sure.
Do you openly say who you've assisted under?
Oh, yeah. I talk about Jay all the time. I was the right-handed Jason Joshua for a number of years, and that's where I came up through Larrabee Studios when he was mixing out of there before he started his own studio. And yeah, I spent, I heard some people through the wall talk about their 10,000 hours and putting in the long work and all that. And yeah, I definitely did that with Jay, which was a really great experience. It was, as you can imagine, an insane amount of work. But, when you're in the thick of working on records of that level, you just, you appreciate it while you're doing it, and it's a shit ton of work.
Did he make you cut the pillows? Did he
Yeah.
Cut the what?
No, don't worry about this.
Yeah, it's something that Jay talks about in a lot of his interviews, I guess.
Yeah.
Being the best runner there. And, I think when I was running there, I wasn't interacting with Jay in any sort of capacity like that.
Really?
So no. Luckily, we had other people that were doing that when I was assisting.
So Larrabee, and with Jay, because I'm friendly with him apparently. Jay, yeah. Dude, that's amazing. And you've done, from what I've observed, the route of coming out here, assisting with someone, learning the ropes. How much did you know before you got that assisting gig?
Oh, I was pretty well versed. I came up through Cleveland initially. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Started out there doing live sound and working out of a small studio there, which was like one of two places in the city that had an SSL room.
Really?
And I cut my teeth just doing low-level tracking stuff and low-level live sound stuff until I got lucky and I started working with Keyshia Cole for a number of years.
Hey, look at that. We're twins.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. I was working with her 2018 to 2022.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I think I worked with her in 2009, 2010-ish to 2012.
Nice.
Did 2 albums together. But yeah, so I cut my teeth as a sound tech, a front of house guy, monitor guy, tracking engineer, and then
You've really been through the ropes.
Yeah, well, you grow up in you live and you work in a minor market. You got to do anything, right? You're working whatever gig pays the bill that month. And for me, in the first crucial years of my audio journey, it was literally. Either I was at Peabody's, which was the venue I worked at for a number of years, or I was cutting out of this place called Annie-Up Audio. And it's just every day, one or the other, 7 days a week. So I had, my ropes, I guess. I knew technical stuff. I'd cut major label records. So I came out here knowing that, I knew that I knew enough, right? But I knew that I didn't know how the cheese was really made or the beef was the people's really made, or however that saying goes.
The sausage.
Yeah, the sausage is made. Thank you.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, and you don't want to know. You generally don't want to know. But, so like I knew that I knew enough, but I knew that there was this blank space, and it was mixing, and that was something I really loved. It was something I always gravitated towards. Even in the early stages of my like educational journey into this stuff, going to college, I knew that mixing was like where my heart and soul was in it, because I'm as you said, I don't really have a social media presence, and it's because I'm very much so an introverted cat.
You also don't fucking need it, to be clear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everyone needs to play the game nowadays. It's a totally different world than when I started in 2009 even, which is crazy to think about. It's been less than 20 years, and the whole game has changed, and content creation and putting yourself out there, that's part of the game now. There's a lot of people that has made a genuine path forward for them. And either it is the path, or it is another way to supplement your income, which I think is like a serious thing that a lot of people don't really think about. I mean, they do, they see like big YouTubers, big streamers and stuff like that, but they don't think about the guy that's like bringing home like $100 a month from something. And even to get to that point, you still have to be big or whatever. But I do think it's a viable path. It is something that a lot of people are doing these days, and you see a lot of people have success with it. A lot of people that were here tonight that have a lot of success with it. But yeah, I don't know. I came from a different era where it was just like, you do the work, you keep your nose down, and you hope that you do enough consistently great work that people are going to just remember who the hell you are. And, so that's kind of how I built my personal business. It's all been through personal relationships with people that I've just met along the way.
I'd kind of argue that is surprisingly still relevant.
What's that?
Just relative? Keeping your head down and working. I mean, it's surprising how much answering your emails consistently. Having a to-do list.
Yeah, no, I mean, Shane was talking about kindness. I think being empathetic towards your clients is going to make you the most money that you can in this business, because having that direct connection with anyone is what's going to realistically bring them back to you. You can be the best mixer in the world but have the worst client relationships, and then you're not going to get very far. And vice versa, you can be a terrible mixer, but you can have a really great relationship with somebody, and believe it or not, that will keep you around longer than you think it will.
I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows at least one cat that is terrible, but they are in.
Might be in this room.
Yeah, I have a client that always sends me their songs to get mastered, and they've been using the same mix engineer for years. And every time I get it, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of reverb. Like, is that how you wanted it? He's like, well, that's what he said sounded good. And I was like, oh, you're just taking it. Cool. I guess we're mastering this.
A lot of it's personal relationships. The thing that's granted me the longevity that I've had in this business has been personal relationships. So, all it takes is one to change your life. I mean, you're one phone call away from whatever the big record is, right? Yeah. So yeah, relationships. It's a relationship game.
I have a question about the process, because I've heard you assisted for Joshua J. Mm-hmm. What's that process of transitioning from being known as someone's assistant to being known as your own?
Oh, it's fucking
entity?
Terrifying.
Yeah, what was that for you?
For me, and I think there's probably other transplants here. There's people that not from LA that moved here to be in LA. Yeah. It's the same process that you had when going through that decision-making process, to leave your hometown and to leave everything that you knew behind and to take this venture and this bet out on yourself. For me, it was, when you're working for someone like Jay or a Serban or a Manny, you're going to be doing a lot of really great records. You're going to be doing a lot of really phenomenal, cool records that it's going to be a blessing to be a part of. But eventually, it is the same thing every day, right? It is like you've hit the plateau of how far you can go within that camp. And at some point, you got to look at yourself and just go, okay, well, am I just going to do this forever? Am I just going to continue being this person's right hand or whatever you may be to that person? Or am I going to say, okay, well, I'm going to try and do this myself? And I think for me, it was, I had enough credits under my belt. And the whole time that I was doing 100 to 110 hour weeks at Larrabee, I would go home each night and I would work on my own records, building up one client at a time. And it just gets to a point where you have to decide, is one thing taking away from the other? Is my work on my own personal business, is that actually taking away from my ability to function properly here at this other person's business that I made an allegiance through an employment contract to, be the best that I can be at this job? So, it's like once you have to start asking yourself those kind of questions, you're probably at a good place where, okay, well, screw it. I make enough to pay my bills. And from here, I can at least give this a solid shot, knowing that I'll get by each month. And so that was like really my thought process. Like, you at some point you have to bet on yourself. And
nice. So, like the leap of faith kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a leap of faith for sure.
Yeah. Also, this chat is going crazy for you. Everybody on the chat loves you.
Oh, that's
I'm
sad.
looking at it. It's like,
Dubs in the chat, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Look at me, streamer talk.
The reason why I bring that up, and I brought it up gently, was because we've had guests in the past that have, actually on your point, we've had guests in the past on the show that have brought up a difficulty to differentiate their personal brand with the person that they assisted for. So they said,
for sure.
they said politely, please don't bring up the fact that I assisted for.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like this big name that.
If you would have asked me this, in 2020, 2019, when I left working Larrabee and left working for Jason, I would have told you probably the same thing. Because there is definitely that jumping off point where you're like, well, I want to be seen as this rather than somebody's underling. I want to be seen as the guy. And so, there's definitely, I definitely felt that way. I understand that feeling because who doesn't want to stand on their own 2 feet and be acknowledged for the things that they bring to the table that make them unique, that is their timbre, their special uniqueness to their voice or their craft. Everyone wants to be that. And you do see some people that just fall under the weight of the shadow of the person they come from. So having, I definitely have felt that way in the beginning of me making that transition out from being an assistant for one of these great mixers. I definitely did do that for the first 3-4 years even. And it wasn't until more recent, the past year and a half, I think becoming a father did something with that. But I started reflecting more and I was like, well, this is part of my journey. It was part of how I met a lot of the A&Rs and the client relations I have that allowed me to build my business. And so more recently I've been talking about that. So I can understand why that's such a touchy thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
That was very helpful though. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
There's because I've had a lot of FOMO, and this is another personal thing with me. I've shared with you a lot. I didn't come up with the route of interning for someone or assisting for someone, and I've just kind of happened to land doing mixing for a living, right, at whatever capacity. And I've always had FOMO, and anybody that I've ever talked to, probably even some of your friends and colleagues, all right, and our mutual friends, that have been like, why? Like you would have to build your own brand eventually anyway.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
So it's just I just find that every path is different. That's the point. Every path is different. Everybody can go their own way, whether you assist or someone. The FOMO doesn't need to be there as long as, I think, to your point, people that are creative, I find, typically have a hard time having conscientiousness, the ability to keep a to-do list, to wake up at the same time every day, respond to emails.
Yeah.
And I really like
this will be your friend if you don't have organization skills. That is something that I learned real early on.
And it takes once every 50 times to not have the label of being consistent, to not be known as the guy that is super reliable, right? Yeah. And I find that your work is incredible, first off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely incredible.
Appreciate that.
I don't want to say too much, but little Japanese pride there. And
he's getting all choked up.
Tell us, you can be as technical as you want, but the last thing that I want to ask you is, why do you mix the way that you do?
Oh, well, there's the politically correct answer. And there's and that's I put love into the thing, right? I think I mix the way I do. I always tell the clients I'm close with, I'm going to work on your record until I fucking hate it. That's my getting off point. It's I'm going to put so much time and energy into this thing, and so much just focus and a good portion of my life trying to bring this to what I think it should be, what's in, and I honestly mix from my heart. I really do. I don't think about things in technicals. I don't try and hit certain loudness levels. People always have questions about like luffs and stuff like that. And it's like, every record's different. Every single record, every single production's different. The recording engineer is going to work different. The producer's going to work different from the last record that you worked on, even for the same client. So I don't mix from anywhere technical. I just do what I think sounds good, and I think that resonates with the right certain clientele that I have.
So let me ask you then: what things specifically about a mix resonates your heartstrings? What are the things that make you feel?
Oh, I mean, that's anything. I mean, that's what you're talking about the muse.
Maybe like yesterday. Yeah. What made you feel yesterday or even?
Yeah, I mean, the muse or whatever that thing that speaks to you about what drives you to mix a certain way or to like feel a certain way about a record, like that is, it's record dependent. Sometimes it's the rhythm section because I grew up playing bass guitar in and out of rock bands and studying people like James Jamerson and like, the Motown records and shit. And it's like, sometimes it's like, oh man, the use of rests and this bass line really is amazing. And like you get a little bit of, your hair sticking up on the back of your arms kind of thing because you're just like, wow, there's something about the feel, that groove that speaks to you. And other times it's the lyrics, 95% of the time for most people it's probably going to be the vocal of the lyrics because that is the most human aspect of this whole music creation thing. It's like, that's the one people don't sing the bass line, they don't sing the rhythm section, they sing the lyrics, right? So yeah, I mean, it's whatever's going to speak to you about that record, whatever's going to make you excited to sit down to that record when you're listening to the reference mix or the rough mix, that's the thing that you just have to gravitate to and just appreciate in that moment and go, okay, well, I'm feeling something right now, and now I'm just going to try and get this down, get this out on Pro Tools or Logic or whatever the hell you use. But yeah, there's no one thing. I think people just gravitate towards whatever speaks to them.
There's Lou's gonna ask something in a minute here, but briefly, like sometimes I wonder. I consider myself to be generally creative. I was like, why didn't I do animation or like film or like do anything else? Writing, not because I suck at writing and I failed at my AP English. All right, that's why. And
not good at math.
Unfortunately, I am actually.
So now your parents can hold it against you. Like, you should have been an accountant.
Yeah, for real. And then I've always done creative things, and I wonder why I ended up music, right? And it's something that the muse, the Tao, the whatever the fuck you want to call it. Something. I was watching Sing with my kids the other day. Okay. Fucking Sing, dude. Yeah. Illumination. Yeah. And it was the last scene where like they all get together and do their final show, and I'm like crying like a child. And I'm like, what is music? What is happening right now? I'm like, this is why I do music. There's something, it's the story without its immediate pathway to emotion, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, music has been around as long as people have gathered around fires and beat on random drums and instruments and bones. You think about like Bavarian throat singers and people that would just go out in the hills and just do resonate off each other in weird ways, and it became part of their culture. It was so important to them. Music is primitive. It's part of, I think, what makes us human in a way. I heard one person refer to music as the voice of God, because it's something that just speaks to everybody. And you don't have to understand the language. You can just hear whatever the music is and the emotion will speak to you. It translates universally. And, I think that's a real thing. I think that's probably the thing that solidifies my belief in that what we do is important as people that try and bring the unintangible into fruition in a way. I kind of like to think of ourselves as like sorcerers in that regard, because we're changing the way people feel because we're pushing air molecules, through physical space. And I think there's something that's really true and why it resonates with people.
So
it's awesome.
Let me ask you this, because to me, like I like your demeanor. The way you come off is very confident, self-aware.
I'm sorry to fool you. I'm sorry.
Good. I knew he was a dumb guy. But I feel like kind of like what was communicated earlier, like our personality really shows through our mixes. Like what our preference, our unique sound is what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, DK asked the question of why do you mix the way that you do, but rather instead of asking a continuation of that,
sure.
What is it that you believe you do as part of your process? What is something that you have found to be fundamental in your mix process that kind of helps define what you're after and gets you there? You know, some people say they like top down, some people like doing bottom up, but I feel like it's a lot more involved in that when it comes down to the personality of the engineer.
Well, I think one of the things I've learned about myself personally in the past like year or two is that like being somebody that tried to be a very stringent, like kind of template based person, I've realized in the past 18 months that is not me. My best work comes from just managing the chaos of the sessions that are set. You know, I was talking with
Do you primarily work in sessions that you're given, or are you primarily given stems?
It varies.
Okay.
It depends. Like sometimes you got to be the guy that puts together the master session because, you know, the thing was recorded by one person and then they sent over a 2-track a cappella to a producer that did something totally different. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're playing the Frankenstein game of kind of Frankensteining this thing together. So, you know, but a lot of times it stems these days, if not a Pro Tools session. And basically if it's a Pro Tools session, I want everything. I want it the way it came. I'm going to work within their mix bus. I'm going to work within the way they send it because they put a shit ton of time into this thing. And I'm not going to deconstruct it just to rebuild it in the way that I think it should be. I'm going to kind of take what I believe is their initial, I guess, format? Meaning, the initial like take on the record, you know, whatever they're trying to convey with their song, because it's not our records. As much as we love this shit, as much as we put a lot of time into what we do and like we make it our own, it is still somebody else's art. It's somebody else's intellectual property. And I try and be more respectful of that now more than ever. And so like, you know, sometimes if it's a record that I think I can deconstruct and rebuild, I'm going to do the bottom up thing. Because I'm a rhythm section guy. I played bass, you know, for a long time in and out of really, really terrible bands. And
wait, hold on. Was the band terrible or were you terrible?
all around. You know, there's a reason. There's a reason why I do this.
What the fuck?
I actually have somebody once told me, they're like, you know, every audio engineer is a failed musician.
I'm leaving, dude. That's way too true.
It's way a little too close to home.
Sorry, brother.
Fuck,
The room got real quiet once you said that.
Yeah,
So I love all my guitars, but I don't think I have any more amps.
See, so you know, I played bass for like a damn near a decade, and now I haven't played in another decade. You know, so you know, it's been like almost the same amount of time since I stopped playing completely and just been full into audio. But yeah, you know, it's like if it's a really great groove on a record, I'm going to do bottom up. If the record feels really nicely glued already, if there's a lot of vibe already, if I don't want to ruin the direction, that was the word I was looking for before, the direction of the record that's already set in place before me, I'm just going to work within the chaos I send. I'm just going to try to identify what I like about it, bring that out more, and do it while staying true to the initial intent of what the artist did.
There you go.
So,
there you go. I think navigating chaos is something that we must be good at. That's incredibly.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of the beast is chaos. The nature of the creation process is chaos. The guy that taught me my initial steps in this audio journey was this guy by the name of Tom Anderson, and he was.
This is back in Ohio?
Yeah, back in Ohio. But Tom was.
Shout out, Tom.
Yeah, well,
we love you, Tom.
Dude.
MySpace.
But he told me that when you go into a recording situation, that you need to treat it as if you are a nurse entering the delivery room of somebody that's giving birth, because it's not. It's like literally the same I guess, frustration. Like these artists are, once again, they're trying to pull something that they hear out in their mind out of the ether and have it come through these speakers, right? And you're supposed to be there to help them along that journey. You're supposed to be a guiding hand or the person that brings that into fruition. And so he would say like, oh, well, like you just have to go into these situations with the correct demeanor and just understand that what they're going through is there's so much frustration going on in their mind trying to pull this thing out and convey what they hear inside their head and communicate it to a producer and an engineer and, whoever else is in the room, that you need to go into these situations just with the type of demeanor that this environment you're going into is stressful, but it's beautiful at the same time. And it's pure chaos. I mean, you have to be able to navigate that.
Yeah. Because this is the first time we're meeting, I have an hour's worth of questions that I want to keep asking you to kind of dig into your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're out of time. David, is there anything that you want to say, anything that you want to tell the people, the next generation of engineers, anything like that?
No, I mean, I think you're saying you had FOMO about missing out on the big studio experience. And I would say don't fear that. I mean, there's a path that's right for everybody. I went through doing the figure it out one client at a time thing before I came out to LA. That's how I got to doing Keyshia Cole and stuff. So I understand the build it one client at a time thing. And I understand the going through the boot camp of a big producer or mixer, because I did that too. And there's once again, there's no right way, right? Either way, it's a crapshoot. It really is. Either way, it's going to take you just showing up every day and a little bit of luck. And that's the thing that's going to separate you from people that fall to the wayside, is that you're going to be the one that shows up every day and waiting for your moment and your opportunity. And hopefully when that comes, you will have enough skill sets under your belt that you can take advantage of that moment and really seize that moment. I think that's the most important thing to understand, is that it's a waiting game. It's a time game. You're not going to come out first year and be the biggest thing in the world. You might, because the world's crazy and that's how shit works sometimes. But going back to the same thing that everyone always talks about is just consistency, persistence, and no matter which path you go, as long as you continue waking up each day working towards that end goal, you're going to do all right. As long as you got the skill sets, you're going to be okay. It's just you just got to go through the horrors of the first few years that are going to be pretty rough, and you might learn a lot of lessons, and you might fall down more time. You might fall down a shit ton. I made so many mistakes in my journey. Working for Jay, working for myself, you're gonna mess up, and the thing that's going to separate you from the person that quits is just that you get up and you do it again, and you just take that. You go, okay, well, I didn't fail. I learned something today. So as long as you go with that, you're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, standing ovation for David Nakaji!
Yeah.
Thank you. For real. Yeah, we'll have to catch up more later.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. One more time, give it up for David! Man! That was a yeah, we got one more last guest. We're coming to the end here. That is all I'm gonna say, very rare interview. Again, I could ask questions for hours. Just dude, he knows his shit. He knows his shit, and you can hear it. There's one more final guest. I think I might be saving the best for fucking last. I might be saving the best for fucking last. That's what I think I'm doing here. All right. This is a dear friend of mine. She has been on our show multiple times. We've even eaten hot wings together on this Mixing Music podcast because we've done some collaborative episodes on her podcast, with her podcast. She is a phenomenal, one of the world's best recording engineers. I think I can say that. We're in fucking LA. Yeah? Everyone put your hands together for the amazing Jenny! Woo. All right, one more time. Keep that applause going.
Damn, which one should I get?
All of them. All three. Holy.
Yo, the cold filtering on that.
We're doing spatial audio for this podcast.
Yeah. Welcome to the show again.
Yes.
Thank you for being patient and waiting.
Of course. I was falling asleep already.
Fuck. Well, the good
Was
that
at
you're
least comfortable?
Yeah, on the couch right here, chilling.
Okay. I'm glad that you're on like a regular sleep schedule where 10:30 is making you sleepy. That's actually healthy, I feel
Yeah,
like.
I think I've my career has gone long enough where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start sleeping at 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I wish I could sleep at 9 p.m. When did this happen? I mean, you're going crazy with you do mixing.
Yes.
You
Mixing, recording, Dolby Atmos.
And I wasn't kidding when I said you're one of the best. I mean, like, I'm serious. Like, being in LA and doing anything of any caliber is one of the best out here. But I think you're a fantastic person.
Thank you.
Like, your clientele list is amazing as well. Tell us about, is this new that you've been able to go to bed on time as a recording engineer?
A little bit, maybe like 2 years ago. I feel like I only stay up late to work with artists that I like, producers that I, really like working for. Other than that, I think I'm at an age where I'm just like, do I really want to stay up late with this person? Do I even know this person?
Was this a decision or it's just like kind of happened?
I think it kind of just happened for me to just be like, I'm in control of my schedule, and also at the same time not to feel a little FOMO of like, fuck, I missed something. I probably missed a good opportunity. So nowadays I'm just like, usually the people who want me to stay up late is like people I like working with. So usually it's like a Dem Joins, or right now I'm working with this female singer named Rach. So she likes working late. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it's always like a fun studio session. So I'm like, I'll stay up late with you,
Yeah, I have a question with that. We have touched on this with Bob Horn, but like, I'm assuming you set these boundaries, you're still getting plenty of work with it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes in waves. Sometimes I'm doing a lot of recording sessions. Sometimes I'm only doing mixing. Sometimes I'm doing Dolby Atmos. So it's not a
we haven't even talked about that today yet. Dolby Atmos.
It hasn't. It's not a very like. It's not like I'm staying up late all the time. You know. So right now, Rachel's on tour, so I get to work at home, mix, wake up maybe like at 10 a.m. and then or go to the gym like around 7. Get to work around 10 a.m., 11, and then finish around maybe 6, 9, depending how I feel,
Nice.
Yeah. Amazing. You had a great, do you still work at Spotify Studios?
No, I was there on under a contract for 3 to 6 months.
All right. You got to tell us about, sometimes there was a few times where I'm on Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And of course, because we have all these cool friends out here, I see like cool gear.
Right.
And then I see you like, oh, look at me. My office is a fucking cruise ship on a yacht or something like that.
No.
And you're like, the most glorious fucking life ever. What is that about?
I mean, it's all the networking you do, Sometimes you could be anywhere. You could be last week in Cabo. You could be next month in Korea. It's all the networking you do.
And this is all just from recording?
Yeah.
Or is this?
It's all from recording. It's all honestly just being, if you want to be somewhere and you want to, work with the elite artists or you want to work in a certain genre, you got to get to know these people, you got to be around these people. And eventually you end up being in their world, So been lucky enough to just travel and engineer and just be amongst other people who are like doing the same thing you do, but at a bigger level. So it feels really good to have those opportunities.
I have a question on top. Or you
go ahead.
Thank you.
Light touch.
That was the politest shit I've ever heard on this podcast.
We're very polite here. Yes.
Yeah, so you gotta talk shit to you.
Yeah, it's only DK we don't respect. It's okay. If I remember, it was either on, because you also have a podcast.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I don't remember if it was on that or like an episode you did on the Mixing Music podcast, but you had a pretty cool story of how you first started getting clients.
Yeah.
Would you be okay like to kind of giving a...
Ooh, it's a long story.
Can you give the short version of
I
it?
found
Is
it
that-
very helpful.
It's funny
so
because I
think it's-
literally was talking to one of the guys who works here about my transition from like working from a commercial studio into now then working into smaller home setups, like almost like this, like playback.
Yeah.
There's a smaller studio, it's not commercial studio. Well, the transition happened from I was working in Orange County at a studio called Studio 770.
Yeah.
They worked a lot with they're still open, so
Yeah.
they work a lot with classical music and jazz band music. I was there for 3 years, loved it, learned a lot of miking techniques. Shanti Haas is an amazing studio owner. Dope. And then at some point I was like, okay, I want to work near home. At the time I lived in South LA. So I was like, okay, I want to work near home. I want to work with hip hop. I want to work with R&B. And I already had followed a bunch of smaller studios in LA on Instagram. But I was like, okay, let me just try Conway. Let me try Paramount. Sent out resumes, got an interview from Conway, and they were like, yeah, we love your resume. I was there for a week, and then I remember just doing runner duties, going out for food, going out to all these fancy restaurants, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. Especially after coming from working at a big studio for 3 years. I was like, I'm not fucking doing this. So I quit, and then I was like, I'm going to start submitting my resume and basically the work that I've done out to these smaller studios. And I started noticing that they put me on their roster to just be on call. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I started working at different studios and networking a lot better with producers, A&Rs, managers. And most of these A&Rs and managers not only manage independent artists, but they also manage like whether they work out of Rock Nation or Atlanta, they have bigger artists, that they work with. So I was put back into these bigger rooms with the bigger consoles, the commercial rooms, and my life has just kind of been like that. It's just been networking a lot and end up working with like Haley Bailey, end up working with Rhapsody at Spotify.
No Name too?
No Name too. Yeah, it's all word of mouth, honestly.
No Name, yeah.
It's all word of mouth. And
did you write down Pokemon?
Yeah.
You did something for Pokemon?
I did.
Did you tell Lu this?
No, I'm not gonna brag, bro.
No, but I thought we were friends.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Lu just lives and breathes Pokemon.
I love Pokemon.
I
So when
collect.
that happened, I was like, I cried a little when it came out. Yeah, I was like, yo, bro, like
Lu's crying right now just talking to you about it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I would have assisted. I would have been the runner.
Damn, dude, it was unexpected. I work with Umi. She's an amazing artist, and they asked her to I guess they have a new episode, new series
the
on
new generation.
Netflix.
They retired Ash and Pikachu.
Yeah, but hey, I was sick one time, and I swear I binge watched the new series, and it was so dope. I was like, nostalgia.
I'll check it out. I'll
yeah,
give it a
check
shot.
it out. It's sick. So,
Never thought we'd be talking about Pokemon today. Just saying.
yeah.
I knew. Since Lu's here, we were going to talk about Pokemon at some point.
Yeah.
But it was dope. I mean, I got to mix the record, and then I also did it in Dolby Atmos, and it was super dope because I always wanted to work with Pokemon or Sony, and they're both like, shoulder to shoulder. So yeah, it's out. Go listen to it in Dolby Atmos or stereo mixing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Woo, cool. I want to ask a question that you've probably been asked a bajillion times, and I think this is important to bring out. Being a woman in the industry is no joke. It's tough, and there's not a lot of women. It's very unbalanced. We all know it, and we all feel guilty about it. It is tough, and we don't need to talk about that. But Jenny, why do you keep going? Why do you do what you do? Why music?
Shit. I just don't want to do anything else. Like I try other things. Although I do have a hobby that's coming up, but that's
coming up.
Yeah, pending. But that's not music. But it's just me because I feel like I'm getting older. I'm like, okay, I need to do something else besides music. But other than that, it's I don't know. I like how it keeps me on my toes, and I keep learning and meeting people, and it just never ends. So I've always wanted to do music since I was a teenager. I played the trumpet. I was in a jazz band, classical band. I did the whole like high school banner thing, and I kind of just kept doing music. And now it's just like seeing myself not doing music is weird. You know what I mean? And my boyfriend does music too. So it's like, I feel like I live it. I breathe it. It's a lifestyle. And I don't see myself doing anything else besides my hobby that I'm picking up. But other than
Can you
that,
tell us what your hobby is? Is it a secret
Yeah,
now?
sure. Just because I feel like,
You built this up. It better be fucking weird. That's like, I'm
It is
waiting.
kind of weird. It's
Okay,
kind
good.
of like older, I'm doing real estate. So I'm trying to get my license.
Hell yeah.
You're trying to do like well with your life.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a couple houses, anybody.
Most people call that their livelihood.
So, the money got to keep coming. Music is tight, but
I thought you were going to say like
money's
foraging
dope.
mushrooms in the forest or something like that.
You never know, man. I could buy acres of land, one day. But yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. Good for you. Good for you. How do you feel about people talking about women in the industry? Does that bug you, or do you think that we should talk about it more often? Or I wonder, is there also a part of you that scares women into joining because we talk about how scary it is?
I think it annoys me when we give it a topic and something like it's a problem. It's more like I like when people treat it as like an action, like showcase, like, look, this is this person working on this is that person I'm working on that. And it's I love it when it's a constant thing rather than like a holiday. You know what I mean? Like Women's Month is like everybody wants you to be on their podcast. Everybody wants to interview. Everybody wants a piece of you that month. But the rest of the year, it's like all quiet. You know what I mean? It's like we're not a holiday. We're like always working. So it's like that's the only thing that annoys me when people try to just pinpoint a thing, and it's just like, no, man, we're all out here working. We're all out here in different studios doing different things, post, film, music, whatever it is. It's always. It's always a thing, and we should make it a habit of just like incorporating this into our daily music lives, So it's dope that we have all these organizations, because when I started, I had no idea about She's the Music or Sound Girls or anything like that, So it's awesome to see these different organizations throughout the year develop mentorships and highlight women, throughout the year rather than just once a month or once a week for that like Women's Month.
Does it bug you that I'm being genuine? Does it bug you when I ask questions like that? Especially for the podcast and stuff.
Not
like
you,
that.
because you're the homie. So I'm just like, okay, you're just very interested.
But there is some truth to that. There is some truth to like,
yeah, like if it's a new podcast and they're like, is there something you don't want us to like highlight? I'm like, well, don't ask me like the basic question where it's like, how does it feel to be a woman? I'm like, like in the music industry, I don't ask you like, how does it feel to be a man? Like it's natural to me. Like sometimes I forget I'm a woman in the industry. I'm just working every day and being the best I can,
Actually, I think that's really healthy.
It's going to sound kind of funny because, you've done some sessions for us at the studio and stuff. And I think we've talked about it before when we were there, where I'm like, one of the biggest things that was like, why hire Jenny over like some of the other people in the roster for certain sessions? I'm like, she's tough as shit. You know what I mean? So I know no matter what client we have in front of her, she's going to kill it.
Yeah.
But she knows what she's doing. Like, I don't have to second guess it. It's not a gender thing. It's not an opportunity thing. It's just like, yo, I met Jenny, talked to her. Crystal's dope too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Crystal, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Crystal. And then like, once we actually got to know each other a little more, I'm like, wait, she actually knows what the fuck she's doing. The same way I talk to any of the other guys, because anybody that's ever worked for us, and there's a few people here who have that can attest, like, when asked, when can I engineer my first session, I'm like, you're still not there yet.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can read off of people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of confidence and just level of communication that you can tell right away.
Yeah.
You've always had this demeanor that it's like, just throw her in the room. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And it's to the point where, like you said, it's not a matter of like, Women's Month or this and that, or throw this opportunity here because she's a girl. It's like, you want somebody who's dope? Go talk to this person.
Yeah.
They're dope. Not talk to this girl, but talk to this person. They are dope.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
I don't want to overspeak and say something that I'll regret, and you could punish me for it later. But there's, as a business studio owner, like as a business guy that hires the engineers, the last thing that I want to think about when hiring someone that I'm committing to lose money on, potentially until I make more money when they pay the session, is whether or not they're tough enough to be able to endure the session, regardless of gender. Like, can they handle the pressure of being there? Because some of these artists and clients are the kindest people in the world. And some of these clients are fucking assholes. And I think that that's something that undeniably, I never have ever worried about you. Lou and I were like, we can fucking call Jenny. Yeah, no worries about it.
Yeah.
And then I've also had some, regardless
We've had
of...
one person quit engineering after their first session.
Yeah, and this is like a dude that like benches more than Lou and I combined. And it's like, he could crush us. And
Actually, technically, no. I've been able to match and overdo them on certain sets.
All right. Okay, fine. All right. Sorry,
Correct
whatever.
that.
Yeah, correct me. All right. But just proving a point, Lou.
Get it
All right,
straight.
yeah, fucking proving a point, Lou. All right. But I do think like that is one thing that's undeniably important. Even practically from the business owner's perspective, and that's something that I think is incredibly something that you do very well at. You've created this brand of you're just a good worker, reliable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's I love posting my work because it's like I could post a billion pictures of myself and probably get better likes and stuff and follows or whatever, but I like my work to highlight myself, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I do, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, it's crazy because I'll post a bunch of my work and then I'll meet someone at a party or at a like a networking event and they're like, oh, you're Jenny? Like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And like, oh, I didn't even notice who you're like, you're wearing a dress. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm a fucking woman. Like, you know, I can look pretty when I'm not in the studio, you know, like I wear hoops, I can wear heels. Yeah. I didn't even notice you there. And I was like, oh, well, you know, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
You know, what do you expect me to like wear a long black shirt to like the holiday party?
I'm just imagining Lou shaking his ass on Instagram from now on for the follows.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, but there was once a
No,
story.
there was not. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. You did have an OnlyFans at one point, and
Actually,
I did click on it.
I do have an OnlyFans.
And I clicked on it, and then it said, I knew you would click perv.
That's all that's on there. I'm sorry, guys, to disappoint. Don't subscribe. There ain't shit. But for all of you that do click, it literally does say that.
Man, that's what I found out. I'm a pervert. All right.
You want to know something funny? I actually have that on my link tree, and I actually check once in a while to see if anybody else has clicked. There's like 500 clicks on it. So 500 individuals, or maybe the same person 500 times, has clicked on that shit.
Damn, dude.
I don't know what they see in this.
You doing audio? Why are you still doing audio, dude?
For those clicks. For
get out of Mixing,
YouTube
dude.
tutorials, just repost them there.
Shit, someone can have like all
You want my template? It's on my OnlyFans.
Yeah, exactly, dude. There you go.
That's crazy. Jenny, any last things that you want to say before we end this or plug?
Yeah.
Plug?
Real estate?
Shit, I don't know. Just follow me on Instagram. That's it. On
jny.mixedit.
Yeah.
At jny.mixedit.
Yeah. And then for the few, I know it's a lot of dudes in here, but we're doing WACPOM. Women's Audio Mission is doing a conference on Sunday.
Well, there's lots of people live.
So if I see you
Amanda
there,
knows about it.
Yeah.
Where is this at?
Did everyone look at
It's
you
at
when
the
she said
Village
that?
Studios in Hollywood.
Sick.
Somewhere there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And if you're interested more in that, you can DM Jenny.
Yeah.
Follow her first and then DM her.
Yeah, because that shit is blocked.
It's the
so I gotta
honorable
see.
move. It's the honorable move.
Yeah, I gotta see if you're like real to answer back. Yeah, because I got people DM me like, "Hey, you don't read your DMs," and I'm like, I didn't see your DM. And they're like, I've been trying to DM you about work. And then there were I noticed that they were in the if I don't follow them or accept their follow, I don't get to see any of their messages. And I was just like,
so email might be better.
Shit, my bad.
Email might be better. But
email. No, but I took it off. So you can
spam the DMs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jenny, so thank you so much. Thank you for being so patient to be the end. You are one of my favorite people ever, especially in this industry. Everybody, stand up, standing ovation, round of applause for Jenny. And we are a little over time now. We are come to the end. Everybody, put your fucking hands together for yourselves for sticking out today for Playback Los Angeles.
Shout out to OT.
Shout out to OT for the team. We got Zane on the keyboard on the live stream. We got Lucas with the guests. Shout out to the fucking legends that were here tonight. Oh my goodness. All right, I have to say, I gotta say something here. Long time coming. Lou, this guy right here, this is my fucking brother. All right. And this guy, I want to say, we hit 1 million downloads together. This guy joined the podcast about a year after I started it. So I'm getting to the point where I can't even take much credit for starting it anymore. I cannot have done it with this man who keeps me in check, calls me out for being a dumbass. Who also forces me to like look things up to like fact check. And this guy,
Can you tell me about espresso?
I want to say, for real, live on the pod, when I first moved to LA, I had one of the toughest years I could possibly have. Back-to-back things that were not going right. Legal stuff, money stuff, family stuff. Dad to an unexpected disabled kid, just shit. People screwed me over. Just like the scariest things in this new place of LA. So alone. There's one dude through all my chaotic fuckery that stuck with me this entire time, to this day, has always been reliable. To be quite frank, many times when he didn't have to be, he shouldn't have to be. And that was fucking Lou Moreno. So give your hands up. Put your hands together for Lou. Put your hands together for Lou. This here is my brother. We got 1 million downloads! We're going to keep this train going. I don't care. I'm going to talk about Eastern philosophy more on this podcast. I don't give a shit.
And that's where we end the stream.
I ain't never going to stop. I ain't never going to stop. That's the machine. That's that. And lastly, for everybody on the stream and everyone here tonight, the exclusive episodes are now on Spotify. They're bugging you. You're seeing what you're missing out on. I'm purposely creating FOMO. You know who is the guy that lets me do this? One of my now good friends. This guy was a listener of the podcast at first and then eventually reached out to me. Classic nepotism type vibes. And then fucking this guy, from the moment that we met, I knew he was going to work his ass off. I've had way too many interns, way too many people that have wanted to do things with me. I can sniff out red flags, but this guy, genuinely one of the best people ever. Funny, honest, can take a fucking joke, is kind, genuinely cares, the empathy of a god. I swear on my life. James Parrish. Everybody put your hands together for James. Yeah, there you go. This guy is always so nervous. He hates talking in public. He tells me all the time, he's like, dude, I only do this because I fucking love the show. Yeah. And
I'm terrified every episode.
he may be big, but he's a shaking puppy. I tell you. And so it is again, I cannot be more honored to have you on the show. And I want to personally thank you, for doing so much for the podcast and for the exclusive content. And more beyond that, just like Lou, just being a reliable friend, something that I need definitely, because I'm batshit crazy. So thank you so much.
It takes two of us to.
Why is there three batshit crazy people?
Yeah.
And with the end of the episode, the last people that I want to thank is everyone here in this audience. A lot of first timers that have never listened to the podcast. How was that? How was that tonight? Was that good? Is that good? This is exactly the par of quality that we do. Actually, this is our worst episode. Every other episode that we've ever done is better than this. You should go check it out.
You didn't get religious today.
I did not get religious. No, I don't get religious. I get philosophical.
Real quick, rank the religions. Which one's your favorite?
Rank all the
The Church of Satan.
Oh fuck! Yeah. Name your favorite race, dude.
Marathons.
Yeah, marathons, dude. Ultra marathons. Hell yeah. I'm gonna do a little humble brag here, but I'm gonna tell a story that I told one of my last podcasts. If y'all didn't know, I'm an ultra runner. I do 50-mile races. I do 100-mile foot races. I run for what David Goggins says for days. I do that for fun because you had good parents. I didn't. So just kidding. That's a joke. That was a joke. All right. No, it's because I learned something, and I want to share this last thing that I think kind of sums up all the lessons that we did tonight. I don't say this to brag, and it's really funny when I bring this up. It scares people. It's very intimidating. Just like when we meet someone amazing, like Jenny or IRKO or like David, right? We get nervous and we feel like we don't belong, and there's this feeling of validation that Trevor brought up today. I mean, meeting Bob Horn, right? The GOAT, and you find out that he's like the nicest guy ever. Right? There's something that I learned. If you need validation, if you seek validation, and if you're insecure and you don't feel like you're enough, becoming competitive and turning that energy into competition will get you to mile 80. We'll get you to finish a fucking marathon. But in a 100-mile race, when you're with the best of the best and your feet are on fire, you can't even feel them and everything's inflamed and your body is broken. You are literally causing harm to your body. You know what gets people from 80 to 100? Gets them to the fucking finish line. It's a removal of any need for validation. It is a removal of any need for competition, which is based on the comparison of someone else. It is nothing but the genuine and pure love for running. That's all it is. It's not because you need to prove someone wrong or to prove yourself right. It's because at the end of the day, you just love it. And it doesn't need to be existential. You don't need to give it a purpose. To give it a purpose is to almost dishonor the beautiful thing by itself. I told you we're going to get into Eastern philosophy a little bit here. This is a little Japanese here, but not everything needs purpose. Not everything needs a direction. It's okay to dance with fate and just to dance with the winds of fate and to just enjoy life. And I think that if you can let go and become spontaneous, there you go. If you can become spontaneous and learn to just love the craft like a child, I think everyone in this room can mentally take it to 100 miles. Yeah.
I don't want to pick them up.
No, you're good. Everyone here, every person that we interviewed loves, genuinely, I think you all felt it, genuinely loves music. And we lose track of that, especially when we're learning and especially as we get frustrated with ourselves and we aren't getting the validation that we think we need. Everybody gets frustrated. And I want to say that as normal as those things are, the way to win, the way to do well is to keep that love for music, keep it so fucking close to your heart because that thing is a slippery son of a bitch and you will lose it if you let it. Don't worry about the money. It may come, it may not ever come, right? But it definitely won't come. Now, whatever success you define it at, whatever you define success as, it won't come if you lose that passion. And it's very hard to keep it. It's very hard to keep it. The people that you met here tonight are some of the elite in the world of maintaining, has the deepest love, genuine, deep love for this. A love that you cannot find much else. Don't lose that love. That's the last thing I want to say. Thank you so much for coming to the Mix Music Podcast Live special episode. And on that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy. All right. Let's cut the live stream.
After party.